Student Kendra Elliott is suing 19-year-old student Michael Durkin. Kendra claims a drunken Michael crashed while giving her a ride on his motorcycle. Michael is countersuing for being forced to drive.
Order. All rise. This is case number 440. You okay?
Wait till you hear this one.
This is case 455, Judge, in the matter of Elliott versus Durkin. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat.
I want you to listen carefully to this.
I will do.
It seems that Miss Elliott was out at a bar with some friends. The defendant was also there. Both had been drinking. He was drinking a lot. According to Miss Elliott, the defendant insisted on giving her a ride, despite the fact she'd come with other people to the bar, to their next stop, which was somebody's house, another hot spot, who knows. Mr. Durkin was driving a motorcycle. Miss Elliott says that Mr. Durkin insisted on giving her a ride.
Of course.
And she got on his motorcycle, and there was a bad accident, and she was injured. Prince Charming over here was afraid that because he was so drunk he was going to get in trouble. He left the scene and left her there in not such good shape. So that's part of the story. So far, I have your story down pretty pat.
Yes, ma'am.
Genius over here is countersuing.
For?
He says she insisted on this ride, and he said, no, 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 because I'm too drunk to give you a ride, right? You told her that, right?
Yes, Your Honor.
And she forced herself on him. And his countersuit says that she was holding on so tight that when he flipped over this meridian divider, he not only injured himself, but suffered all kinds of emotional stress. Now you've heard from me.
Have a good time.
Now we're going to hear from them. When did this incident take place, Miss Elliott?
October 31st, Halloween night.
What did you go as?
I was a fairy princess.
Mr. Durkin? And you?
I wasn't dressed up.
She was dressed up as a fairy princess.
That's correct, Your Honor.
And you were at a bar?
A nightclub.
What time did you get there?
Probably around 9 or 10-ish.
What time did you meet the defendant?
Around 9, 10-ish when I arrived.
What time did you leave together?
Around 11.
And tell me about leaving.
Well, I wanted to go meet some other friends, and he said he'd offered to give me a ride, and my friends who I came with, they wanted to go home, so I said, okay, we'll just go to the club, and then we can go back to my house.
I didn't ask for you.
Oh, I'm sorry. She was with me. She tried to talk him out of it. I wasn't in a good state of mind.
What do you mean you weren't in a good state of mind?
I had been drinking.
So you were drunk?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah?
And I thought that it'd be okay to ride with him, to go to the club, and then we would go back to my house, hang out with, because I figured my friends would still be awake. I got on the bike. My roommate, who I came with, she tried to talk me out of it. When I'm drunk, I don't listen. She said she tried to talk him out of it.
And he was drunk, so he didn't listen.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah? So you got on the bike?
Yeah. And she tried. She tried really.
All right, she tried. She tried, and she really wants to talk to me badly. So you got on the bike. And what happened when you got on the bike?
He was driving fast. I mean, showing off. I've ridden with people on motorcycles. I know how they a lot of the time act. They show off, for girls, drive fast, go between cars and whatnot. And I told him I was always just scaring me, please stop. He said, okay. He said he would try. We came to a red light. There was a truck in front of us. He made a left-hand turn, and he hit the median. He ran over the median. Like a minute after he said he'd try to drive better. After he ran over the median, I remember just thinking, oh my God, this isn't happening. I was screaming, crying, and he told me to get up. And he said, you're bleeding, but you're going to be all right.
He was right.
Thank you.
Oh, he was right. You probably were bleeding, and you see you
Yeah,
standing here?
I was
And you
bleeding.
see you standing here, so you're all right.
Yes, but I was bleeding bad. I have pictures.
Oh, I'd like to see your pictures.
Yeah, they're pretty good. I mean, not good, you know, but... And that third one in that first stack, that's the second day with my eyes open. It swelled more.
When you took this picture in your fairy princess costume, is there any reason why you put the crown on?
My friend who took it.
What a sense of humor. So you broke your nose, you had to have it rebroken,
Yes, ma'am.
you had
I
two
still
black eyes, and you want all your medical bills paid.
Lost wages. I had to retake 2 classes. I missed 2 weeks of school. Medical bills that insurance wouldn't cover. And then I still have permanent scarring.
All right, so you have insurance on this motorcycle?
Yes, I do, Your Honor.
So why didn't you put into his insurance?
Um,
On what?
Insurance, I mean, they paid for some of the medical expenses. I mean,
Well,
I couldn't get a hold of it. I didn't
Did you
know.
put in to his insurance carrier for the injuries that you sustained as a result of this accident?
I wasn't sure if he had insurance. I didn't talk to him. I didn't.
Well, you should have.
I mean, he denied it even happened.
Listen to me. The first thing you do when you have an accident like this is you get a lawyer, because the lawyer sues his insurance company. So I don't know why you didn't do that.
I didn't know the procedure.
Well, now you know it, so I would suggest that maybe you do that. Maybe. All right, Mr. Durkin. Now, this accident happened pretty much the way she says it did, right?
Oh, no, Your Honor.
Well, tell me how the accident happened.
This is outrageous, all right?
Listen to me. Listen to me. I'm the only one that gets hysterical here.
Yes, Your Honor. Sorry. It was Halloween night, okay? And I was just sitting at home, and I was by myself, and I decided, hey, I'm going to go out, right?
Listen, let me explain something to you.
Yes, Your Honor.
Get to the club. 10
All right,
o'clock
I'm
at
at the
night.
club. I'm up in the bar, and I'm having a few drinks, and I'm 3 sheets to the wind, Your Honor, yeah, all right? Up comes a little fairy princess, and she's talking to me, and I thought she was pretty cute, you know, but I mean, anyway, we started talking, we got along pretty well, right? And after about...
Get to the bike!
Okay, Your Honor, after an hour. Your Honor, listen.
Bird, do me a favor.
Talk to me.
Stand behind him.
Okay.
Stand behind him. If he does that again, execute him.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Kendra Elliott says fellow partygoer Michael Durkin owes her for medical bills resulting from a motorcycle crash. Michael says Kendra forced him to drive.
Get to the bike,
All
sir.
right, yes.
She's on the bike.
This is pertinent, Your Honor.
Not pertinent. You're
Okay.
on the bike.
We wrecked. Yes,
Fine.
we wrecked.
Good. Now, she's laying on the ground, I assume, pretty bloody. And what made you take off, Mr. Durkin?
Your Honor, I was scared, all right?
That's fair. That's
I'll-
a fair... Shh, shh. Stop with this, Trionyx. Put your hands on the table. Put your... That's perfect. That's where I want you to keep them. Bird, make sure he keeps those hands on the table. You were scared. That's a fair statement. You knew you were drunk, that you were going to be in serious trouble, so you took off and you left her. You had never met her before, so you figured she'll take care of herself. Some truck had come or something. Is that...
I was conned into... Your Honor, I was basically like, I was convinced to take her on the bike, okay?
Listen, Durkin,
Yes, Your Honor.
Durkin, listen to me. I don't care who you've told this story to before. I don't want to hear that part of the nonsense that you were conned into taking her on the bike. Because listen to me.
I don't mean conned, Your Honor.
Shh. Because you shouldn't have been on the bike. Do you want to know
That's
why?
correct, and I
Right.
didn't want to get on the bike, Your Honor.
Did you receive an order from the President of the United States commanding you to get on your bike?
No, Your Honor.
That
but
just
there was a
answer
little
it. That's
girl-
a no. I assume your bike is started with a key? Listen to me very carefully. These require yes or no answers. Nothing other than that. Does your bike require a key to start it?
Yes, Your Honor.
When you went into the club, did you leave the key in the bike?
No, Your Honor.
So would it be a fair statement that when you came out of the club, she got on the back of the bike, you removed the key from a pocket? Yes or no?
Yes, Your Honor.
You took the key that you removed from your pocket and you put it in the ignition.
Yes, Your Honor.
And then you have a kickstand on the bike
Yes, Your Honor.
and you put it up. I assume you did all of those things.
Yes, Your Honor.
All of those things required some thought. Do you understand what I'm saying to you?
Completely.
So that the fairy princess didn't fly down and sit on the back of your bike while the bike was in motion. You did all of those things while she was on the bike. So it was a conscious in your unconscious state of mind choice to give her a ride on your bike while you were intoxicated. That's stupid. However, Mr. Durkin, she's just as stupid. And I don't care how much her friends tried to convince her not to go.
Her friends weren't even there, Your Honor. She sent them away.
Just a second. I was looking to him.
How are they not there?
You're doing all right now.
Just do me a favor. Step yourself outside. You're irritating me. So, Miss Elliott, you're drunk. You get on his bike. You know he's drunk.
No, ma'am.
Oh, well, the only reason that you didn't know he was drunk is because you were drunk. And you had a choice. Your choice was, in your drunken state, to leave with your friends and go back to the house and sleep it off. That was your choice.
Yes, ma'am.
You chose, in your drunken state, knowing that he's drunk and going someplace else. You get hurt? That's your fault. That's just taking care of your lawsuit. You want to somehow pursue his insurance company? You're free to do that, Miss Elliott. In this court, you're not going to get a dime for stupidity. Now let's deal with your counterclaim, Mr.
Yes,
Durkin. And I'm going to deal with it as fairly and expeditiously as I can.
Please.
It's dismissed.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I would still like to apologize, except it upsets me that she came to court and lied.
I just basically, though, wanted everybody to know that he did. I mean, he's a jerk, obviously.
And now the next case.
All parties on War Kenton Jr. versus Cooper. Step forward, please.
32-year-old concrete business owner Ron Workington is suing his ex-girlfriend, 30-year-old security truck driver Lisa Cooper. Ron claims Lisa lied about the paternity of her daughter.
Mr. Workington, according to what I've read, you and Miss Cooper lived together on and off for about 6 years. Starting when, sir?
In the summer of '94.
And in 1997, were you living together?
Yes.
When did you start living together?
The summer of '94.
Through when?
It was off and on till about August of 1999.
When you say off and on, you left, she left during periods of time?
A couple times here and there. It was a short period of time.
What do you mean, a week or two or a month?
Month at the most, month and a half.
And during those periods of time, would you leave or would she leave?
It was basically her decision to leave most of the times.
Okay. And you had a child,
A little girl.
a girl. And you continued to live together until August of 1999, separated. And in March of 2000, according to your complaint, a DNA test was done for some reason, and it was determined that the child was not yours. Your lawsuit wants to be reimbursed from the defendant for all the support that you contributed to the child during those 3 years. What prompted you to take a DNA test?
She told me in
March.
Shh, don't, I'll give you a
She
shot.
told me in June of last year, when I was involved in another relationship with my girlfriend here, she told me that the child that I thought that I had was not my child. And she said that she knew the person that this child was fathered by, so I stopped paying her the money for the child at that point.
You had been voluntarily paying child support from August of 99 until June of 2000?
Yes, I was actually giving her money on a weekly basis.
After you left?
Yes.
What were you giving her?
I was giving her like $300-400 a month.
Is that correct?
No.
Was he giving you any money after August of
No,
1999?
he did. When we separated and I was completely away from him, he did not give me any money.
I'm just curious, do you have any proof that you gave her any money?
No, ma'am. I gave her cash money every week. It was one of those things that we were in the relationship since
You hardly
1994.
worked.
I didn't realize I was going to be in this situation 4 or 5 years down the road, so I didn't have any recollection that I was giving her cash deceitfully. I was giving it out of good faith, giving her money, paying her car payments, paying her bills that she has, thinking that we had a relationship together for eternity, more or less.
Well, eternity usually means marriage. Can you tell me why, since 1994, nobody used the M word?
No.
Well,
It
did you want to get married?
had been talked about.
No.
You did not want to
No.
get married,
Well, obviously, she had a kid with somebody else.
obviously. When, for the first time, Miss Cooper, did you have a sense that this might not be his child?
It would be March of 2000.
And what made you suspect in March of 2000 that the child might not be his?
Because of all the comments that were made to me regarding Tyler's eye color, because we both have blue eyes and she's got brown eyes.
So, brown eyes are dominant.
Should have been the intention at the very beginning, 3 years ago. I should have been told that instead of 3 years later.
Sir,
My night.
if you're not married and there is a child, there is a way of legitimatizing that child legally.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you've had, according to you, an off again, on again relationship, she leaves for a month, she leaves for a couple of weeks, she leaves for a week.
But when the times that she had left and came back, that didn't stop her from asking for the money and didn't stop me paying her the money for. See, she has another child, and I supported that child also. She was supposedly getting child support.
You don't get paid back for that.
Oh, I know. That's
You don't get paid back for that.
no. At the very beginning, the actual father, when she was in this other court hearing for the DNA testing and everything, she knew beforehand because he wrote her a check, a $400 check that I saw and my girlfriend saw at the court date, that he'd given her a $400 check for supposedly an abortion.
Where's the check?
That she did not, she told him that she took care of it. So the father was actually just as surprised as I was to find out about this whole situation.
Has there been an order declaring someone else the father of your daughter?
Yes.
Has DNA testing been done on that
Yes.
case? And did you get the test results in that case?
Yes.
And what were the test results in that
That he
case?
was 99.9%.
Father.
Yes.
So there is really no issue now. Yes.
I have a birth certificate of the child that has my signature on it and her signature stating that, as the best of her knowledge, that I am the father of the child.
That was the
No,
best of my knowledge.
no. Listen to me, sir. When you were in the hospital, when this little girl was born, and they came in and they brought you papers to sign.
Yes.
I mean, I know what the drill is. Been around the park a couple of times. She didn't say that you were the father. You said that you were the father.
That's what my intentions were the whole time.
Right. You have to use your noodle. But there is no cause of action in any jurisdiction unless you can prove fraud. Now, the one thing that you did say to me that sort of piqued my interest was you said that there was a check
Yes, ma'am.
that someone else wrote.
The actual father of the child.
Okay. Did that ever happen?
No.
Well, I would need to see proof of that because that might be some indication that she perpetrated a fraud on you. Right now, she just made a bad guess. Mm-hmm. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
She guessed wrong. Maybe it was wishful thinking that you were the father. But you would have to establish to my satisfaction that she knowingly perpetrated a fraud on you.
Mm-hmm.
Her saying to you, listen, you might or might not be the father because there is a possibility somebody else is the father, that's not fraud. But if she knew that someone else was the father, told you that you were the father, and took money from you under false pretenses, then you might have a case to get some of your money back. So, case is dismissed, sir. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
3-year-old carpenter Michael Holliday is suing the mother of his child, 26-year-old newspaper pressman Carrie Titsworth, for the title of a car. Carrie is countersuing for the car.
Order. All rise. Your Honor, this is case number 433 on the calendar in the matter of Holliday versus Titsworth. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat, please.
Mr. Holliday, according to your complaint, you and the defendant lived together for about 8 years. You have one child together.
Yes.
Several years ago, you and the defendant, according to your complaint, purchased a used car, a very old used car, a 1972 used car. According to you, you have possession of that car. She has the title to that car. You want her to either sign over the title to the car to you or pay you not only half the amount of money that you claim to have put into the car, which was $550, but also all the repairs that you made on the car in the time that you were driving it.
Correct.
Is that right?
Yes.
Now let's get to your end. Your end is that you actually purchased the car. That's why it's titled in your name. That he never put $550 into the car. That when you broke up, you had an arrangement with him, and that agreement was that he would return to you all of your property, in exchange for which you would sign over the title to the car. However, He failed to return all of your property to you, and therefore you didn't sign the title over to him. So you either want the car back or you want the Blue Book value of the car, which you claim is well over $2,000. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Ha ha! There we go. Let's give both of these people a reality check. Cars do not appreciate. Cars depreciate. If you buy a car for $1,100, 2.5 years later, it's not worth $2,500. You got it? Perfect. And you, sir, you had use of a car for 8 months, you drove a car for 8 months, you had to fix it in order to drive it. That's your problem. Got it?
Correct.
Perfect. Now, you had an arrangement with her to return all of her property.
Yes, which I did return her property.
What property did he not return?
He did not give me important documents. My birth certificate.
Your birth certificate?
Yes. I mean,
Shh.
okay.
Do you have her birth certificate?
There's a bunch of stuff in storage. I have no idea, Your Honor.
When you say there's a bunch of stuff in storage, her stuff in storage?
My child's personal belongings. I have her birth certificate and her records.
Yes. But you don't know if her birth certificate is there.
I have not been through it. No.
You can either go through it, Ms. Titsworth, or you can call and get another birth certificate. Do you understand?
Yes.
What's next?
There was 4 TVs in the home. I did not receive. I didn't receive anything out of my home.
Who purchased the televisions?
I did with my money.
Mr. Halliday, did you return any television sets to her?
We had a verbal agreement, and she stated after she would not sign the car, she did not want one thing out of that house and to throw her stuff away.
What part of did you give her any television sets didn't you understand?
I understood every part of that.
So why don't you just answer my question?
I did not give her any televisions.
Why not? Didn't you think she would like to have one?
She didn't ask for one.
She's asking for one now, or maybe 2.
There's one TV, and that was in my child's room. The other 2, well, there's a brand new one which I had bought.
Yes.
The other TV, what was in my child's room, was my mother's TV that was borrowed. She can have a TV. That's
How many
no
TVs
problem.
did you purchase?
Well, I purchased 3 of the TVs in my home.
Do you have any proof that you did?
No, because I paid cash for everything. Most of the things I had to get was from garage sales.
All right. What else do you claim he didn't return to you?
On my cutlery knives that I really enjoyed. I mean, there was pictures, the pictures that he did give me of my family ripped in half.
Did you do that?
No, ma'am, I didn't.
Did you destroy them at all?
No, or she would have brought that.
Did you bring any of the ripped pictures?
No, I didn't. Everything that he did give, I had to take it all to the dump.
Now, Mr. Halliday, where were you employed in the last 5 years?
I was in the Carpenters Union. We have numerous jobs.
And how much did you earn in 1997?
Approximately $12,000.
In 98?
I think about $14,000 to $16,000.
99?
$25,000.
How much will you have earned this year?
Roughly almost $20,000, I would guess.
How much have you paid in child support, sir?
We just went through our custody hearing.
That's not what I'm
Nothing.
asking you. You paid nothing.
My child was held away from me for 60 days. I had to go to court to be able to see my child. They gave me child support in November. They wanted to redo it. They just started it again. Now my child support is due. I am behind $88.
And were you advised of what Mr. Halliday's child support order would be?
It's supposed to be $118 a month, commencing November the 1st of 2000.
$118 a month. Ms. Titsworth, when Mr. Halliday and you were living together, I want you to think very hard. Did he ever do jobs, on the side jobs, and paid in cash?
Yes, he did a lot of side jobs.
What kind of side jobs?
Well, he sold drugs for many years.
Shh! Up! You knew that?
Yes, ma'am.
That's a side job. I was talking more in terms of bookshelves, but that was far more lucrative. When did he stop selling drugs?
July of 1997, once we had our child.
Because you had your child.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, that's a good thing. Ms. Titsworth, you don't want this car, do you?
No, Your Honor, I don't.
You have the title to the car? Let me tell you why it would be very smart to turn it over to him. He can build up parking tickets on that car. If he drives around without insurance, you might have a problem. So it would be very wise of you to sign over the title of the car and forget it. Do you understand?
Yes.
Let's do it.
That's what I was going to explain. On my title, I did send off the application, everything for my title, to Nevada because I never received a title.
When did you send it?
It was sent off one 1/12/2001. I even have the insurance. I still pay insurance on my car
Why are you still paying insurance on the car?
because it's still registered in my name.
The car's probably not worth very much. Why don't you just have the police just go and get it and turn in the plates on it and junk it?
Because I know he needed a, you know, my daughter, when she did go with him, that she needed to get around. And that was when he lived by himself.
Mm-hmm.
Once he moved in with his mom, I mean, there's several cars there now.
Is this your mother?
Yes, ma'am.
Good.
Yes, Your
Step
Honor.
up here, please. Miss Halliday,
Yes,
how many cars do you have?
we have 3 cars,
Good. I just changed my mind. This is what
but
you're going...
those are not mine.
I don't care whose they are. They don't belong to Santa Claus, do they?
No.
Good.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Michael Holliday says his ex-girlfriend, Carrie Titsworth, won't return the title to his car. Carrie says the car is hers.
Pay careful attention to me. You have to protect yourself. As soon as you get the title, you have to take the title to the police and say, he is withholding my car. You get the car. They must give it to you. You either sell it or junk it. Because, Miss Titsworth, I have no assurance that even if you sign the title over, that he is going to take that title and do anything with it, like registering the car in his own name, which would mean you would still be liable in case he had an accident without insurance. You listening to me? In case he got parking tickets of $1,000. You would be responsible. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
So, Mr. Halliday, your application to have her sign the title over to you at this time is denied. Your application for money is denied. You drove an $1,100 car for 2 years. She's been paying the insurance on the car?
Your Honor, I have insurance showing that I've had insurance since 1998 with no lapses. Here is my tax returns for 1999, the time we bought the car, $428, which I paid made $25,000 that I'd like to submit.
Good.
Here is when I asked for the...
Did you understand what I said to you?
Yes, Your Honor.
Here's the
You have proof that you paid insurance on this car?
Yes.
Let me see it.
That's just 1 month of insurance right there. Showed that I had insurance for the last 3 years.
I don't care whether you have or whether you have not, sir. She has to protect herself. If someone with whom I were estranged had possession of a car that I couldn't get back, and as a result of that, I didn't know whether there was insurance on this car or not, the smart thing for me to do to protect any assets that I had was to maintain insurance. So whether you maintain insurance or not is really not the issue. The issue is she maintained insurance because she was forced to, because you have the car. She is exposed. Do you understand that?
Yes, and that's...
Good!
We were separating our property July 31st. I have these papers, if you'd like to look at them, to sign.
Sure.
And also I have some papers here from a court case that her lawyer wrote me that stated that the car was my car. If you'd like to look at that.
Absolutely.
Okay, I just highlighted it a little bit in red. It's on the front page. They stated she saw your vehicle. Well, that indicates it was my vehicle.
Just a second. Did you ever sign this bill of sale in front of a notary?
No, I did not.
That's not been signed.
No, it sure hasn't been.
No, that was our agreement.
It sure hasn't been.
So how am I going to pay my child's...
Just a minute. Ms. Titsworth indicates that on 2 occasions, Saturday, November 11th and Sunday, November 12th, she saw your vehicle at a parking lot of her employment where she was leaving at 4:30 in the morning. There is no reason for you to be in the parking lot of her employment at 4:30 in the morning. The only purpose could have been to harass or annoy her. You want me to assume from this sentence she indicates she saw your vehicle at the parking lot? That's it?
Well...
Is that...
Yes, correct.
Wrong. Listen to me. Complaint is dismissed. Be smart. Get your title. You may decide once you get your title and retrieve the car that you want to give it to him. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
If you want to do that so that your daughter's father will have an opportunity to have a car, that's fine. But you make sure that if that's done, you or someone else accompany him that day to motor vehicles to transfer the car so that it's transferred not only on paper, but it's transferred with the state. Do you understand?
Yes.
But you better protect yourself because you are vulnerable.
Okay.
Clear?
Yes, ma'am.
I have one more
Counterclaim's
thing.
dismissed as well. That's all.
Thanks.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
his motivation is just to get money from me.
She has a new boyfriend and just wants to get back at me for no reason.
And now the next case.
All parties on Weber versus Fidel. Step forward, please.
42-year-old baggage handler George Weber is suing his ex-girlfriend, 39-year-old teacher Jeanette Fidel, for an unpaid loan to fix her car. Jeanette admits to borrowing money, but says George is exaggerating the amount.
Mr. Weber, according to your complaint, you met the defendant over the internet in October of 1999 and subsequently started to date the defendant.
Yes, ma'am.
Then you claim that in May of the year 2000, she ran into some car trouble, and you agreed to take out a personal loan and give her money so that she could purchase a new car. There was an agreement that she repay you that money in installments. She gave you one $200 payment and then stopped, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
The defendant says that she never borrowed that kind of money from you. She did, in fact, borrow $200 from you to fix her car, but paid you back, right?
Correct.
So, Mr. Weber, let me hear the tale of the May loan, please.
Okay, Jan's car was stolen, was totaled. At the time, she was claiming her father was selling a car, and she needed the cash right away. So she couldn't get a loan. She told me to try to get a loan.
Look at me, sir.
I'm sorry. So I told her I would get a loan on good faith that she would pay me back. Here's my loan check. I gave it to Jan, and she cashed it.
Can I see it, please?
Yes, ma'am. And then,
Just a minute. Well, Miss Fidel, you clearly cashed this check in the amount of $2,112.
At my bank.
I don't care at whose bank.
That's true.
Well, you didn't tell me that in your answer. Yes.
Because he couldn't get to his bank fast. He couldn't travel that far. It's like 2.5 hours away. So he asked me to cash it at my bank, which I did. That was not for me, though. That was for him. He's from Chicago, not Indiana. He was down visiting me, leaving for Boston and Washington, D.C. He gave me $200 out of that so I could fix my car, which I did. There's my canceled check for that. He took the rest, and he went on vacation. He gave me $200 out of it.
Can I see?
she wanted me to deposit.
Just a minute.
And that's the extent of it.
No.
Your Honor, I have
Just a minute. No. Your story doesn't make sense, Miss Fidel, for this reason. The check that he got as a loan was dated the 25th of May of the year 2000. He got the check and he came, according to you, to visit with you, and then you give me a check that allegedly is dated June 17th, marked car.
Correct. That was for the car. When he helped me fix it, was for the car, so I would know.
No, ma'am, that was for a payment. I have receipt for that, too.
How much after she got this check for $2,000 did your relationship terminate?
I hurt my back May 20th, so relationship probably at the end of June.
So, within 4 weeks of receiving this check.
Right,
Is that right?
She terminated a relationship, right.
Did there come a time, Mr. Weber, that you did go to Washington and Boston?
Yes, ma'am, I work for major airlines, but that was before this all happened.
You mean before this loan?
Yes, ma'am, because I was on injury time. I can't fly on injury time.
When did you go there? Do you remember?
March?
When did you injure yourself, sir? May 20th?
Yes, ma'am.
What kind of injury did you have?
I had a back injury.
How did you get to her house on May 25th in order to cash this check?
I drove, which is 60 miles from my house.
So your back wasn't bad enough so you couldn't drive?
Well, I drove. I was in a lot of pain driving.
I'm sorry.
But you drove?
Yes, ma'am, because I cared for her. I wanted to see her.
What kind of work do you do with the airlines?
Baggage handler.
So you got to pick up heavy bags?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And when you travel the airline, sir, do you travel at a reduced rate?
Service charge, ma'am.
Just a service charge?
Yes, ma'am.
And you wouldn't be foolish enough to travel the airline across the country when you're putting in for some sort of back-related injury because of the airline. That would be pretty stupid, wouldn't it?
Yes, ma'am.
Sure it would be. You understand, Miss Fidel? He wouldn't go to Washington and Boston at a time when he's saying he can't move to his job, right? So I have to deal with proof, and I have to figure out which of the two of you is not telling me the truth. Miss Fidel, I choose you. Because that's what the proof is. The proof is that you did, in fact, cash this check You return $200 of that money in a check that's marked car. Is not marked car repair. It's just marked car. So that's $1,812 she owes you. Is that right?
Without interest, yes, ma'am.
What's the interest rate?
That was 37.9%. And the reason
What?
yes, ma'am, the reason I got that loan.
37%?
Yes, ma'am, I have it right here. At that time, because she needed the check right away because the car was going fast. But
The car to her father was going fast?
Yeah, she said that
I
her
have
father
the
was selling
title.
somebody else.
The title.
She said somebody else was going to buy the car,
I
so
didn't
she
even
wanted the money
get
really
the
fast.
car till
But
October.
I refinanced the loan through my credit union, and the interest rate is only 13%.
And it was I didn't have to pay my father anything for that car.
Oh, I don't care whether you had to pay your father
Well,
for the car or
it's right
not.
there,
I don't
so
care. I don't
that's
know
just-
what you did with the money,
I
but I
didn't
believe
have
that
the
he
money.
gave you the money.
Okay.
You claim that you needed the $200 in order to repair the car that you were currently driving. Is that correct?
Correct.
Show me the bill.
That I didn't bring.
That was your defense. Your defense
my
was,
check-
no, your defense was you needed the $200 to fix the car that you were currently driving. That is your entire defense. So one would assume that you would have brought me a bill from a car repair shop in the amount of approximately $200. Who are you?
I'm her brother. I'm the one that fixed the car.
You're the one that fixed the car.
Yes, I am.
Bull. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,000, which to me covers appropriate interest. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Garnett is suing her daughter, 18-year-old student Tamika Garnett, for the cost of a car. Tamika says her mother has possession of the car in question.
Order. All rise. Yeah, this is case number 340 on the calendar in the matter of Garnett versus Garnett. Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated. Sir, have a seat, please.
Miss Garnett, how long has it been since you've seen your daughter?
December 27th.
Is that the day she left?
Yes.
Have you had any contact with her since the day she left?
No.
How many kids do you have?
2.
Older or younger?
Younger, 17-year-old son.
Is he living at home with you?
Yes.
I read your complaint. According to your complaint, for your daughter's 16th birthday, she's now 18, you purchased a car for her. Is that right? You purchased a car that she drove.
Yes.
And she drove the car continuously from the time she was 16 till the time she was 18.
Yes.
So she left. Did you have another car?
Yes.
So at the time that you purchased the car, it was really for your daughter. Yes. Miss Garnett, don't play around with me, please. Please don't play around with
It
me.
was a family car.
Okay. It was a family car that she was driving. You had no use for another car unless your daughter was going to be driving the car.
Right.
She moved out when she was 18. There was some argument between the two of you.
Right.
And you kept the car.
Right.
And you want her to pay for the car.
Yes.
That's what I didn't understand. You bought the car, you have the car, and you want her to pay for the car. And
Yes.
what happens after she pays for the car?
What I'm asking for is that when I bought the car, it was to help me out because I'm a full-time student, to help me out with her and her brother with after-school activities. She was in acting lessons, he's in track and basketball. What happened was 8 months ago, we started having major problems because she was secretly in a relationship that I didn't know anything about. When I found out about the relationship, we went to counseling. I suggested that we go to counseling to try to work our problems out. And when I found out about her in the relationship, I felt betrayed. I felt that she had been lying to me all of this time. And I felt like she should have come to me instead of sneaking around. So we continued to go to counseling, and it still wasn't working out. And we were still having major problems. And she was saying, well, I'm leaving, and I'm not going to stay here and take all of this. And that's when the problems happened.
Okay. But then she left. She did leave the car at your insistence. So you have the car.
Yes.
What do you want her to pay for?
Because when she had the car, she let the transmission fluid run out of it, and I had to buy a new transmission for it. And it cost about $2,800 for that. And I feel like I should be reimbursed for that because it was her fault. She made payments on it, and she still owes me for it.
How old was she when the transmission fluid ran out?
17.
She owes you for nothing. You may feel as if she owes you for it. You may feel as if she has a moral obligation for it, but she doesn't have a contract to pay you for it. She was a minor at the time it happened.
I
You were
wrote
her
a
mother.
contract out.
Doesn't make any difference whether you wrote a contract out or not, unless she signed a contract with you when she turned 18. You can't make a contract with a minor. So that takes care of your lawsuit. I couldn't really understand it. Still don't understand it. So let's talk about your mother. I'm not going to give this case much longer because you went to counseling with your mom, and evidently that didn't work. Is this the boyfriend?
Mm-hmm.
Stand up. Tell me your name.
Chris.
Who do you live with, Chris?
My mom.
And where does Miss Garnett live?
With me.
Hmm?
She lives in my house.
Who else lives in your house?
My mom and my stepdad.
You like her?
Tamika? Yeah, she's my girlfriend.
How old are you?
I'm 19.
Do you go to school?
Yes.
What school do you go to?
American River College.
Speak up.
American River College.
And where do you go to school?
American River College.
When did you start school?
I started in August of 2000.
You like him?
Yes.
When did you meet him?
I met him freshman year in high school, and we were friends for 4 years, and then we started a relationship my senior year, and we've been together for about 7 months.
How come you didn't tell your mom about it?
Because my mother doesn't believe in interracial dating, and she told me if I ever did bring a white guy into the house that she would not approve. Mainly that is the reason why I didn't bring him around, and she knew about it. She just didn't tell me, and she told me that if she did find out about it, that there was going to be drastic measures taken. And she did, in fact, ground me for dating him the whole entire summer. Basically, I was grounded the whole entire summer, my first semester of college.
How do you do in school?
Right, I'm doing good, actually.
What's actually?
Actually, for the situation that I've been living in, I'm doing very good, especially being my first semester in college.
How do you pay for school?
I have financial aid, and my grant pays for school.
How is it living in that house?
It's been very stress-free, and I was under a lot of stress in her house, and under the advice of my counselor, I decided, maybe living in her house wasn't too good. And in fact, I was going to stay after my counselor advised me to leave the house, but she actually kicked me out the 26th of December. And
You had
told
an
me,
argument?
Yeah, we had an argument. She grabbed suitcases and she told me to take my stuff and leave, but I couldn't come back.
You didn't mean that, did you?
Well, she was being disrespectful to me, saying rude things to me that were not, very respectful to me as her mother.
Did you ever tell her that you would not only disapprove of, but take measures if she ever had an interracial relationship?
No, I didn't tell her that. What happened was her best friend and her were liking Chris. And I told her, because of morals and the way that I've raised her, that friends should not date friends. What happened was her and her best friend fell completely out. There was a big mess going on because of him. Her friend had a deep crush on him, and he liked her. So that was the reason I disapproved of the relationship.
Ms. Garnett, how many times have you been married? Once?
Yes.
Divorced? Widowed?
Yes, divorced.
Divorced. How long were you married?
7 years.
Were you in love when you got married?
Yes.
How old were you when you got married?
26.
Did your parents approve?
Yes.
If they hadn't approved, what would you have done?
Tried to persuade them.
And if you couldn't persuade them, what would you have done?
Married them, probably.
Sure, you would.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Gwenice Garnett claims her daughter, Tamika Garnett, owes her for the cost of a car. Tamika says her mother kicked her out of the house because she's involved in an interracial relationship.
Ms. Garnett, it's not Chris's fault if another young lady has a terrible crush on him. Unless, of course, he did something to really encourage that. If he didn't, it's not his fault. You said to me, he cared for my daughter. He's a 19-year-old young man. He lives at home. He's going to college. Never been arrested?
No.
Never been arrested. You do drugs?
No.
I believe him. I'm a pretty good judge. Now let's look at your daughter. Beautiful?
Yes.
Clearly intelligent?
Yes.
A winner. I'm telling you, I'm looking at her and I'm listening to her. She's a winner. Sometimes you have to rely on your children's judgment, even though it wouldn't be your judgment, even though you would like her to be a little older before she flies off. It's certainly the wrong thing for you not to be in communication. Do you know what I mean? Forget about this lawsuit. You and I both know it's nonsense. I think that the only reason you probably brought your daughter to court is you wanted to get to see her and say something to her, and you couldn't without it.
That's not true. I wanted to be reimbursed.
Oh, Miss
for
Garnett,
this
I
car.
can't even believe that. I really can't believe that. That you want to be reimbursed from your daughter who's going to college, doing well, on a grant, on financial aid.
I'm in college too.
But you paid the money already. Listen to me.
I got a loan for that. I didn't have the money.
Listen to me, Miss Garnett. I have a simple answer for you. Sell the car.
The pink slip is in her name. How can I sell it?
She'll sign it over to you.
No, she wants that car.
Well, of course, she would like the car, but she's been doing without it for a couple of months. Is it true that your mother had to take out a loan to pay for this transmission?
Yes.
She doesn't have a lot of money.
No.
You think she could make up that money if she sold the car?
Yes.
So you prepared to let her do that?
Well,
That's a hard thing. I mean, I understand it's a hard thing. Cars for kids are really important. But if your mother took out a loan to pay for the transmission so that you would still have a car to use, and your agreement with her that you would pay her back, is that right? That's a moral thing. You can't enforce it contractually. So, although I can't order you to do that, I think that you really should consider that. Maybe that's just a step. Mom, take the car, sell it, pay off the loan that you took out. I don't want you to have a loan. Just as a nice thing to do. Miss Garnett.
Yes.
You have to be open. This is her boyfriend.
I like him. I don't have a problem.
I think that you probably should.
He
I think
is.
he looks
He's
like a
very
nice young man.
Yeah.
And she certainly is a fine young lady, so whatever you did right. For a long time, right?
yes.
Do you see your brother?
I haven't seen him since, I've seen him periodically to go pick up mail from the house and stuff, but I haven't actually been able to spend time with him.
You miss that?
Yes.
You miss her?
Yes.
Okay. See if you can work it out. All right?
Okay.
Okay? Good luck.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I really like to see a relationship develop between my mother and I.
Like we were mother and daughter again.
I still love her, and I always will.
I love you, Mom. I love you.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Himes versus Himes. Step forward, please.
21-year-old government document examiner Tennelle Himes is suing her father, 45-year-old tree trimming supervisor Horace Himes. Tennelle says while she was in boot camp, her father repossessed her car and traded it in.
Miss Himes, the defendant is your father.
Yes, ma'am.
And some time ago, you purchased a car. You needed a co-signer for the loan. Your father agreed to co-sign the loan for you. Later, you were going into the armed forces for a training period. You left the car. You claimed that your father took the car and sold it. And you want to be reimbursed for, I assume, all the money that you put into the car. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
When was this car purchased?
The car was purchased May the 31st of 1997.
And when did you go into the armed services?
I left to go into Air National Guard August the 31st.
Of what year?
2000.
And from the time you got the car in May of 1997 up through August 31st of 2000, were you current in all your car payments?
Yes, ma'am.
When did you find out that your father had taken the car?
Well, this is my mom, and she's my witness. I talked with my mom in September.
September what? Do you recall?
No, ma'am, because we couldn't call when I was in basic.
What
we
date,
couldn't call.
sir, did you take possession of the car?
I took possession of the car, and I can't recall the exact date, but it was in September.
So you would have had no payments due up through August 31st. Had you made September's payment?
No, the payment isn't due until September the 31st.
So you were totally up to date at the time that you left?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So according to you, your father had absolutely no reason to repossess this car?
No.
Okay.
No.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Tennelle Himes says her father illegally repossessed her car and traded it in. Horace Himes says he was justified because his daughter was behind in her payments.
Okay. Mr. Himes?
Yes, ma'am.
I'll hear you, sir.
Okay, in September, I got a call from GMAC that telling me Tennelle didn't pay the note on it.
did you get a statement as to how much was owed
Yes, ma'am. I got it
at
right
that
here.
time?
Yes, ma'am.
Can I see it, please?
Yes, ma'am. There's a whole record on it right there.
Ms. Himes,
Yes, ma'am.
this says that in the year 2000, you failed to make a payment in May. In July, you made a payment of $166 instead of the $296.77.
Right.
And you made no payment whatsoever in August.
I love
So I would like to see proof that you made all of those payments up through August 31st. Do you
Okay.
have proof that you made all of those payments?
No, ma'am, I don't have proof because I closed out that account and
Yeah.
I opened up a new account and I have a letter stating that they can't pull it up on the computer and I have
I'm not
that
asking
right
you
here.
to pull it up on the computer. I'm telling you that you save your checks.
And the
You're not
car-
even talking about a year.
Yes, ma'am.
So you save them.
Okay, some of the receipts that I had paid on my car note were in my car. When I got back home and I asked my dad to bring my belongings with, he hadn't even discussed even taking
This is
the
the
car.
payment history, right?
Yes,
And
ma'am.
so you're telling me that GMAC was incorrect, and what you do is to go to GMAC and say, I made these payments. Then they're going to ask you for proof that you made the payments.
Right.
What are you going to tell them? The cat ate them?
No, ma'am.
So you owed at the time, in September, $519.99, which your father, I assume, paid.
Yes, ma'am.
May I
have
see
proof.
it, please?
Yes, ma'am.
Right. You wrote the check on September 5th, $519.99, and they received it on the 11th of
Yes,
September. Well, Ms. Himes, your father had every right to take the car back. Your agreement was that you would make the car payments. For some reason, you failed to make the car payments. What did you want him to do?
Okay, he came and got the car. When I was away and I found out that he had the car, I spoke with him. And he told me that he had made a car payment. I stated that I would send money home to him. He stated that that was okay. And if I owed him any more money, I would pay him the rest when I got home.
So then you fibbed to me before when you said to me you had made all of the car payments up through August 31st. You didn't tell me the truth. You had not made all the car payments.
But I left payments home to be paid, though.
Madam, you made no car payment at all in May, and you made half of a car payment in July.
That's what they allowed me to do that. They allowed me to do that.
You have a statement from GMAC that they were giving you a certain grace period?
No, ma'am.
No. Okay. How much did you trade the car in for?
I took the car back to the car dealer to take it in because I didn't want my credit to go bad. So for them to buy the car back from me, I called the car dealer and asked him would he buy it back from me. He said, Horace, you was a good customer of ours, so bring it in. We'll see what we can do for you. The car dealer gave me $4,000 for the car. The car was worth over $6,000. That's what she owed on it.
Mr. Himes, you have a certain obligation under these circumstances to get the most that you possibly can for the car.
Right.
If you had sold this car privately, could you have gotten more than $4,000 for it?
I couldn't have got $4,000 for it. I run an ad in the paper, Judge.
You did?
Yes, ma'am.
Good. How long did you run the ad in the paper? 1 week?
No, I
How
run
long?
the ad in the paper for 2 months.
And you got no takers?
No, ma'am. I had one guy to come look at it, and he didn't want to buy it because it was messed up so.
All right, Miss Himes, I don't know why you're angry with your father, but your father certainly did what he was supposed to do as a parent. He helped you out in 1997. You got a car. For the privilege of driving around in that car and using it, you paid $247 a month. It's like leasing a car. That's what you did until you paid the whole thing off. I mean, as it happens, your father was out some money. Your father paid at least $520 in order to bring his credit up. You don't have a case against him. You have to act responsibly if you have a car. And if you ran behind in your payments, you have to understand that it's not your credit because you're in the armed services. There's a lot of protection for people in the armed services about getting sued civilly, but there's nothing to protect him. And you as his child should want to protect him, especially since he did a good deed. Your lawsuit's dismissed. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judith Betancourt is suing 52-year-old pet photographer Bill Kane. Judith says, while photographing her Doberman Pinscher, Bill was negligent and her dog was hit by a car.
Order. All rise. Quiet in the courtroom, please. Your Honor, this is case number 418 on the calendar in the matter of Betancourt versus Kane.
Thank you.
Quite welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in, Your Honor. You may be seated. Folks, have seats, please.
Briefly, Ms. Betancourt, your case involves one of your dogs.
Yes.
You had two dogs. You decided you wanted to have the dogs photographed. You went to the defendant's establishment to photograph your dogs. According to you, he was negligent, and due to his negligence, your dog ran out of the establishment, was hit by a car, took off, and disappeared. You've never seen the dog since. You want to be reimbursed a substantial amount of money because you say that as a result of his actions, you not only lost a dear friend and a companion, but the dog suffered substantially, you are sure, after being hit by the car. Right?
Yes.
What kind of dog was the dog that disappeared?
A Doberman,
How old?
3.5 years old.
And the other dog that you have?
A Doberman also.
How old is the other dog?
At the time, she was 9 months.
And you went to have the photographs taken, and you took with you your trainer.
Yes.
Is this trainer?
Yes.
Why did you take the trainer with you?
Well, he was only a friend that day, Your Honor. I mean, I took him as a friend.
Was he your dog's trainer?
Not Zoe's, no.
He was the puppy's trainer?
Yes, Your Honor.
So he's a dog trainer.
Yes.
How long had he been training your other dog?
About 6 months.
Had he ever trained Zoe?
No, ma'am.
Step up, sir. Tell me your name.
John LeBlanc.
Mr. LeBlanc, what contact did you have over the last 6 months before this incident with Zoe?
None.
Had you ever seen the dog?
I met it once.
When?
I showed up at her house, and basically the dog just ran around me, and it was nervous, submissive.
Nervous and submissive?
Yes.
Did you ever have discussions with Miss Betancourt about Zoe?
No.
Did you ever ask her why she didn't want you to train Zoe as well?
No.
Never spoke to her about it?
Nope.
Okay. When she was planning to take the dogs to be photographed, why did you accompany them?
She asked me.
When did she ask you?
Probably 2 weeks later.
2 weeks before?
Yes.
2 weeks before you were supposed to take the photographs is when she asked you to go with her?
Yes.
Had you ever been with Miss Betancourt on any other social outings?
No.
Have you ever had coffee with her outside of taking care of the dogs?
No.
Taken her to a movie, gone to a movie
No.
with her? Strictly business?
Yeah.
You were not her friend. It was a business relationship.
Yes.
Good. Have a seat. So you went with your trainer.
Yes.
What happened when you arrived at this establishment?
Okay, we went into the store, and we went to the back of the room, because that's where they were doing the pictures. It was a pet supply company. And Mr. Kane goes there to do photography for dogs. You know.
Okay.
And we went to the back of the store, and we noticed that it was an open area. There was no barriers. And I knew my dog was nervous, and, you know, he was asked by John twice, you know, to leave her on the leash. The first thing he said to me was, well, the leash wouldn't look good in the picture. So I said, well, I'd rather have her on the leash. So then we were talking some more, and he said for 8 years, without incidents, he's been taking pictures. And then either he or his assistant walked up to the dog and took her off the leash and handed the leash to me.
Did you at that point, Ms. Betancourt, say, no, I want to put the leash back on the dog?
No, I did not, Your Honor.
So you're standing there holding the leash?
Yes.
And you accepted the fact that he was taking pictures with the dog without a leash?
Well, I was accepting it only because now I had to trust him, because he said he never had an incident.
Go ahead.
So they started taking the pictures. They got 2 pictures, and then they wanted to have the younger dog moved closer. I have a picture that he did take of the dog. They wanted the black one moved over closer to the other one, and when we went to do that, the other one fell off the back of the table she was on. And she was scared, so she ran to the front of the store, and they have the automatic doors there. And as soon as you step in front of it, they open. So she got out onto 114, which is in Peabody, Mass., and she ran up a little bit by a car company, and in the meantime, all the employees ran out after her. I went into the parking lot just at that point because I had hurt my knee previously and I couldn't chase her. So I came back in the store when I saw she had gone further up the road than I thought she would. I came back in to get John, and I said she ran out into 114. So he asked Mr. Kane and his assistant, please hold the other dog on the leash, while he went looking for the dog.
And I went back out into the parking lot, but stood there. And then somebody was yelling that she was on her way back. So she was coming back, and the traffic was stopped. It's a high area for traffic. And I saw her head above the traffic, and I had called her once because it was stopped. And then I just kept my mouth shut because I didn't want to call her. And then, you know, the traffic started going again because the lights changed to green, and she got hit by a car right in front of me once. And she was thrown to the pavement, but she ran around this fencing and ran further up 114, where it was confirmed by 2 other people that she was hit in front of another pet store.
And you never saw her again?
Never saw her again. Went looking for her, put ads in the paper. I called dog control officers all the time, the police in that area, the shelters. I handed out flyers to the different businesses up there, and no one ever gave me a call back.
Can I see the picture, please? Beautiful.
Thank you.
Which one?
The beige one, the fawn one.
What's with the ears?
That one never stood up. I had gotten her when she was 6 months old, and, you know, it wouldn't stand up.
I don't forget what kind of dog I had. Were you supposed to stand up and one of them never stood up?
Well, these you have to tape all the time.
Okay. Mr. Kane, I'll hear you, sir.
Mrs. Betancourt's original complaint against me was that she had asked me twice to keep the dog in question on leash, but not only weren't we asked twice to keep the dog on leash, we weren't even asked once to keep the dog on leash, because if we had, we would have complied with that request. We've been in business for what's now 9 years. We have policies and procedures for just about every eventuality that can occur when photographing dogs. And one of them is requests to keep a dog on leash. And that policy is that when we're asked to keep a dog on leash, we will remind the owner that a leash will be trailing out of the resulting photographs. And if that's okay with the owner or whoever brought the dog in, we'll proceed to photograph the dog on leash. We don't care as long as we have a chance of selling the picture. That exchange simply did not happen in this case.
Well, I would say probably, Mr. Kane, something like this happened. Perhaps the dog was on the leash, and perhaps she left the dog on the leash when the dog was placed on the table, purposely. And perhaps you had a conversation with her and you said, look, the leash is going to show. In my 8 years' experience, I've never had any trouble with a dog jumping. Just listen to me, Mr. Kane. I've never had a dog jumping off the table. I've never had an incident, and it is going to show. And Ms. Betancourt acquiesced by accepting the leash and holding it. Ms. Betancourt.
Yes, ma'am.
This incident is not his fault. It's easy to blame somebody else. When you said in your papers, and you told me that you walked into a store that I'm sure you've visited many times before.
Yes, Your Honor.
So that you were not surprised to see that this store, which has no other enclosed areas, is an open store. And he's set up in the back. If, as a dog owner, and you know your dogs better than anybody else, certainly more than the defendant who's never met your dogs, if you know that one of your dogs is skittish, which I assume you did because that's why you brought the trainer. He did not come as a friend because he was not your friend. He was your trainer. If you knew one of your dogs was skittish and you look at this open area and you say, I don't think that this is a good idea for me, you take your dogs and you leave. And you can go have your dogs photographed in a studio, in a little studio with a closed door. You chose not to do that. And assuming your story is correct, that Mr. Kane gave you the leash to hold before he started to take photographs, you and or your trainer could have said to him, we're not taking these photographs unless the leash is on the dog, right?
Yes, Your Honor.
As a matter of fact, according to you, he took several photographs before anything happened with the dogs, right?
Two poses.
Took 2 poses and got one beautiful shot of the dogs.
Yes.
So at that point, you're holding the leash and you're not upset.
Well, at the time, after he gave me the leash, I put it on the floor because I was standing on the side of Zoe.
Well, that's a good thing. But you could have said to him at that point, I don't care if the leash is showing in the picture. That's not the important thing. The important thing is the safety of my dogs.
I did say that to him once.
No, then you put the leash on your dog and leave. If he refuses to take the photograph, which you would not have done, you put the leash back on your dog and you say, I'm the dog owner. I know my dog. I don't want to take any chances. That's what you do. The fact that the dog became spooked by falling off, running out, electric doors opened up, the proximate cause of that was the fact that the dog was unleashed. So, Ms. Betancourt, sometimes when an incident like this, tragic incident like this happens, it's easy to blame somebody else.
Your Honor, I'm not trying to blame him. It's what happened.
Yeah, but
I just feel he was negligent for me because, you know, he wouldn't leave the dog on the leash. I wanted
That's
her
not
on the
true.
leash.
That's not true that he wouldn't leave the dog on the leash. You had a choice. It was your choice as the dog owner.
Yes, but he came up to the dog and took the leash off and handed it to me.
There was no objection when the leashes were taken off.
He took the leash on the dog, he handed it to you. Did you go back and put the leash back on the dog and say, I want the leash on the dog?
No, Your Honor, I did not.
That's easy. That's your fault. It's not his fault.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Judith Betancourt says pet photographer Bill Kane's negligence led to her dog being hit and killed by a car.
You're suing Mr. Kane, and you think his negligence is worth thousands of dollars.
Well, I went through a lot of pain and suffering
But part
because
of
I
that,
lost my dog.
Just because you lost your dog, would you blame somebody who hit the dog with their car under those circumstances?
If they hit the dog, yes.
No.
Well, see...
No. If they'd hit the dog purposely, yes, but if the dog is running out in the street, if it's a choice between swerving off into oncoming traffic or hitting the dog, you have a choice. Either you kill yourself, your child who's sitting next to you, somebody else in the car. As a matter of fact, if there was an accident, it would be your fault.
That's why I wanted her on the leash, because there is a leash law in Peabody, too.
Then you should have kept the dog on the leash, Miss Betancourt. You're not following me.
I understand that, Your Honor.
Good. Then it's your fault. You don't get money from him. Case is dismissed.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
This was a very unfortunate accident that happened, but that's exactly what it was, an accident.
I feel he was partly responsible because I did ask him to keep the dog on the leash. And I lost a dog, not him.
And now the next case.
All parties on Norton versus Osley. Step forward, please.
40-year-old homemaker Diane Norton is suing 41-year-old human resource specialist Pamela Osley. Diane says Pamela ran over her 6-year-old daughter's bicycle.
Miss Osley, as far as I can piece together, which is not very hard in this case, you went to someone's house to retrieve your granddaughter.
Yes.
Person whose house it was is the daycare provider for your granddaughter.
Her backup daycare, yes.
And when you pulled up into the driveway, there were some other children playing in the driveway. And one of those children, who had a bike, was this little girl right over here. Right? Tell me your name.
Caitlin.
Caitlin. You picked up your grandchildren?
No, I went into Sylvia's, and she wasn't there. I went back outside, and when I went to get back in my car, I noticed that the little girl and another little boy were playing towards the bottom of the driveway by themselves. So I got in my car, and I turned around, I started going very slowly because I was worried. I'm a mom, I know kids move, and I didn't want them to move in front of my car, so I was going very slowly, and all of a sudden I felt like I hit something. So I stopped, pulled forward, started to get out of the car, and the little girl came over, picked up the bike, and I said to her, I said, you need to be careful where you put your bike, you know, and the bike didn't look damaged, and I didn't stay because I needed to find my granddaughter. I had been mistaken about
Whatever,
Sylvia.
so that you left.
Yes.
It's your claim, Miss Norton, you weren't present, but it's your claim that there was substantial damage to the bike and you want her to replace the bike.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So there really is no issue that you hit the bike.
No, and I told the officer, and I left him a message that he told me it was the rim, and now all of a sudden it's a whole bike. I did not back over that bike because I would have remembered backing, going over it because I pulled forward.
You have a picture of the bike?
Yeah, I have a
May I
picture
see
of
it?
the bike damaged.
I'd like to see it.
And she ran over the whole back tire, it wasn't just the tire. And the
Big car, little bike, so that's what happens.
the
You
tire
may-
won't even go around, it's bent.
Okay.
I have a picture here, too, of the driveway.
I don't think that that's an issue. Miss Osley, she
I
she
told the
didn't commit a
officer.
bank robbery. She probably should have stayed to see what happened, gotten out of her car. She There's no question about that.
From the story that I heard from my kids, she wasn't that nice. She told them to get out of her way because she was in a hurry.
No, I don't talk like that to children.
She was in a hurry because she could not find her granddaughter. She did not know where she was, so she was panicking, not knowing where she was.
I didn't know where my granddaughter
just a second.
was.
So that may have happened, Ms. Norton. That may have happened. She saw that your daughter was okay.
She never saw that my daughter was okay.
Yes,
No,
I did.
No, Ms. Norton, pay attention. She just said to me, your daughter came over and picked up the bike. So she knew she hadn't hit a child.
Well, that's not the story I heard.
You weren't there.
Right. You should ask my daughter. She was there. And
You weren't hit by the car, were you? No? Did you go over and pick up your bike?
I went to my brother instead.
After your bike was run over, did you go and get your bike?
The neighbor lady, she came over and she tried to fix the bike, but she couldn't.
Okay.
The little girl moved the bike, or I wouldn't have been able to back out.
Just a second. You weren't hurt by the car, is that right? No. So she knew she hadn't hurt your daughter. And if she were panicked about her own grandchild, it's very possible she didn't do the totally rational thing, which I'm saying wasn't right, but this is not somebody who was guilty of a bank robbery.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Okay. And she can't ride the bike now?
No.
Fine, so she needs a new bike, and you have to get it for her, Miss Olsley, because you hit the bike. Not a big deal. You have the cost of it?
I don't have the original receipt, but I do have a receipt, the cost to replace the bike.
Let me see.
My question is, I think it's only the tire that needs to be replaced, not the whole bike.
She doesn't have to have, listen to me, she doesn't have to have a repaired bike. This was your negligence. As opposed to this little girl, you're getting into a car, a big car, you see children playing. You're supposed to walk around the car, make sure that nothing is there, no child, none of their equipment. I cannot attribute to Caitlin contributory negligence by leaving her bike behind your car. You're the adult, you're the licensed driver, you have to make sure that you have a completely clear road. This sort of thing happens, so you can't make more of it than it is.
I know. I did try to call her quite a few times to, I
didn't know your name.
No, don't answer. Go ahead.
I called and it was her daughter or her sister. Every time I called, she'd say, oh, she went for a walk, or oh, she went to Target. And it was like 7, 8 times. And finally I said, if she can't call me, and her daughter, whoever answered the phone, said that she has caller ID, so we were playing a little caller ID tag is what we were doing.
Okay, so you got frustrated.
So I got a little angry, yes.
Okay, so go buy your daughter a new bike. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $84.99.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Pardon our excuse, you may step out.
Old Shirley Lyons claims former friend, 42-year-old Cheryl Washington, stole her wedding ring.
Order. All rise.
Your Honor, this is case number 10 on the calendar in the matter of Lyons versus Washington. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Young man, have a seat, please.
Mr. Lyons, you're really not involved in this case, so I'm going to ask you to sit down, sir. Mrs. Lyons, from what I read, you two ladies met while you were both patients in a hospital and became friends. And after you were both released from the hospital, you continued to see each other. And on one day, the defendant came to your home. According to your papers, while she was at your home, she stole a piece of jewelry from you.
Yes, a wedding ring.
What makes you think that the defendant took your ring?
She was the only one that was there. It was just her and I, and when she left, my ring left also. I put it down on the coffee table. We had left the house to go and get a pack of cigarettes for her. We stopped by and bought a bottle of wine. And we came back and we were looking through my CDs and playing music and talking, conversing. And I took my jewelry off, set it on the coffee table, took my shoes off, and went and changed into a house dress and came back. When she left, she borrowed a couple of CDs from me also. She said she was going to be bringing me my CDs back that weekend, which she didn't do. When I found out that my ring was missing.
How much after she left did you see your ring missing?
About 10, 15 minutes. I started cleaning up the coffee table, from cleaning the ashtrays up and putting the CDs up when I noticed it was gone.
Why would you take your wedding ring off?
Because I was at home.
I know, but most people
I don't wear my wedding ring around the house. I don't wear any jewelry when I'm at home.
Was it a plain gold band?
It was a gold Marquise cut, and I had the enhancer to it. I didn't put the enhancer on that day because I was in a rush and I didn't even put all my jewelry on. I just put my wedding band on, just the one that had the diamond in it. The enhancer I have now.
What's an enhancer?
It's the second part of the ring. It connects to the marquise cut.
Let me see what she's talking about.
She might be wearing it right now.
I doubt it. I see. Okay. So the proof that you have with regard to this is the fact that she was the only other one in the house. You had taken it off, and when she left, 10 minutes later, you looked and there was no ring. Did you take her ring?
No, I did not. Your Honor, this is not the first time that this has happened. I'm not the only one she's done this to. I have a witness that I'd like to bring in now to speak on my behalf of her character.
I'll hear your witness. Where's your witness?
Okay.
Yes, can you tell me your name, please?
Lisa Williams.
Miss Williams, how do you know the plaintiff?
I met her through the defendant. Oh, her right there?
Yes.
She's my sister.
So the defendant is your sister?
Yes.
And how long have you known the plaintiff?
Not long. I've only met her once before.
Well, what information do you have with regard to this ring?
That my sister does have a habit of taking things that don't belong to her, and I'm sure that she has a ring on her finger right now today that she took from me, as well as a leather coat.
What kind of ring did she take from you?
It's that kind of like a S-shape, figure S-shape ring with a diamond in the center.
When did you discover your ring missing?
I knew she had the ring. She borrowed the ring. She never gave it back. Now she won't give it back because we have other issues that are going on.
According to you, let her borrow it.
Yes, I did.
And she just didn't return it, but she didn't steal it from you.
Well, it's stealing if you borrow something for someone and you don't return it.
Sit down.
Well, Your Honor, I know she stole my wedding ring.
Tell me how.
Because, Your Honor, when she left, my wedding ring left. Which makes it even worse, I tried calling her, and she avoided me. When I finally did get in touch with her, it was on Thanksgiving Day, and I had my husband go over and pick up my CDs before I confronted her about my wedding ring. And before I got a chance to confront her, she goes, well, I'm going down to see my husband down at the halfway house for Thanksgiving, and I'm not going to wear all my jewelry because you see she's draping with jewelry, and it's not even hers, it's all OPPs, other people's property. She said that she wasn't going to wear all her jewelry, she was just going to wear her wedding ring. That to me made me feel like she was just trying to feel me out to see whether I thought it was her that had taken it or if I had missed it at all.
That's not true. For one, the day that I left Shirley's house, the reason I left Shirley's house, for one, was because she had a cat that was running in and out, and I'm allergic to cats, and my eyes swelled up. She went and got me a washcloth, and I was telling her I was going to leave because of the cat. I started wheezing. At that time, I had Shirley call my son to let my son know that I was on my way home to have me a breathing treatment ready. The following morning, Shirley called my home, thanked me for coming over and for the wine. The next day, I didn't hear from Shirley. That Thursday, her husband called me and said that he was coming over to pick up some CDs. So I said, fine. And he came over, me and the kids were in the living room. He spoke to me and the kids. He got the CDs and he left. That Friday is when her husband called me and told me that Shirley said I stole her rings and that I better return them or he was going to call the police on me. And I told him I did not have Shirley's ring. I don't have to steal Shirley's ring. I have enough jewelry.
Did.
And from that time on, Bill continuously called. And I just told him to quit calling and harassing me and to do, do what he has to do. I don't have his ring, her ring.
Yes, sir.
And that was the last I heard of it.
Your Honor, I work for Lockheed Martin, and I have a secret clearance. And the thing of our job is you tell the truth. That's the best thing in the world. That's what I tell my kids. So I'm only here to tell what I know. I'm not a witness to the theft of the ring. But I also know my wife befriended her in the hospital, brought her a blanket, looked after her in the hospital, invited her kids over to swim. They all had a nice time. And that's on 2 occasions. The third occasion, my wife never wears, she always takes her jewelry off. And I've always told my wife, you should put your jewelry in specific places. This particular time, this lady was over there, and my wife told me that the ring was missing. And she was very upset, because that's very important to her.
Yeah.
But wait just a minute. And so I tore that living room up. I tore the house up. If that ring was there, it would have been found. It hasn't been found yet. Now I still walk around paranoid looking for it because I would rather have the ring than be here. So all I'm saying is my wife is a very honest person, but things that she's done, stolen, won't return other people's stuff that she has. She won't. She's a thief, and I'm sorry, and that's it.
Judge Judy continues from her friend, Cheryl Washington, for theft of her wedding ring.
First, let me return this.
Oh, one other thing. Just this ring fits a ring. I don't think she'd be that naive or stupid to come to court with that ring. But if you would ask her to come up and see if that ring would fit any ring on her finger, because it has two prongs to fit in. And if it does, it belongs to my wife.
You just said to me she wouldn't be stupid enough to wear that ring to court.
But she wore her ring when she went to court and still denied that she had taken the ring.
Show her your rings, please.
No, she doesn't have it on.
Doesn't have it on.
Mr. and Mrs. Lyons, I am not suggesting to you that the defendant did not, in fact, take your ring. The problem is, when you're in court, you have to have proof. You understand that. Did you, in fact, call the police?
Yes, I have a police report, too.
Okay. And I'm certain that the police told you that just the fact that the defendant had the opportunity to take your ring doesn't mean that you had sufficient evidence
Your Honor,
that she did. You have a cat?
No, it's a stray cat, and I feed a stray cat.
Fine, but there was a cat pay attention to me. There was a cat that kept running in and out of the house?
Yeah, the cat came in once. I put the cat out. It did mess up her eyes. But I don't believe it was really the cat. She was wearing blue contact lenses, and I think the contacts
doesn't make any difference. What I'm suggesting to you is she may have been the only person in the house.
She stole my ring, Your Honor.
Miss Lyons, I'm not saying that she did not. I'm saying that in court, you have to have proof that satisfies the judge or that satisfies a jury. You have to have more evidence than what you have. And while she was in your home and you noticed the ring missing shortly after she left, that's insufficient for a court to make a finding that she's a thief. I'm not saying she didn't take your ring.
All the jewelry she has on right now is stolen. She can't produce one receipt for any piece of jewelry that she has on.
When did you find out all these terrible things about Miss Washington?
Well, just by knowing her character and what I've heard from other people that know her also. And her sister is just the only one that I could get that could come to court and testify about really what type of person she is. She's awful.
Well, then what did you befriend her for?
I didn't know this before. I've only known her for 5 months, and the only occasions that she came over my house, it was like maybe 3 times.
First time she didn't take anything?
No.
She didn't go inside.
Second time, what do you mean she didn't go inside?
It was a pool party, a barbecue and a pool party.
You mean a barbecue and a pool party? Nobody had to use...
Yeah, she went in to use the restroom.
Of course she did. You knew exactly where I was going.
I didn't say that.
No, but I'm saying that if there was a barbecue at a pool party, somebody had to go inside to go to the bathroom.
She didn't have the opportunity to steal it then because it was put away.
She didn't take anything the second time she came to your house?
It wasn't laying in front of her on the coffee table either.
I don't think Miss Washington is a stupid woman. Why would you?
Yeah, she is.
Well, maybe. In any event, I've tried to explain as best I can. I am not making a finding that she did not do it, but I cannot in good conscience find that she did. Case is dismissed.
Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I didn't take her ring. And as far as my sister's concerned, that's another whole story, and we'll deal with that some other time.
She's my sister, and I love her, but I don't like her. We don't get along because she does steal.
She can be friends with my sister.
She's a horrible person. She might have got away with this, but she's not going to live with because she doesn't have a conscience, because she steals everybody's jewelry that she goes into their home. And it's terrible.
And now the next case.
All parties on Bishop versus Hall. Step forward, please.
24-year-old healthcare provider Brandy Bishop claims the father of her 2 children, 25-year-old video store clerk Thomas Michael Hall, owes her for an income tax refund.
Miss Bishop, you and Mr. Hall have 2 children together, but were not married. Is that right?
Yes, that's correct.
In the year 1999, for part of that year, you were living together. And then there came a time when you separated. When was that?
In November.
And where did you go?
I went to my aunt's house.
Now, in 1999, were you employed?
Yes.
And were you employed?
Yes, I was.
This lawsuit is about a tax refund because you claim that you agreed with the defendant that he could claim the 2 children as deductions on his tax returns in exchange for him giving you half of his refund. That's what this case is about.
Yes.
Okay. What kind of work had you been doing in 1999?
Home health care.
What is that?
Assisting elderly people.
How much did you earn? You did file tax returns in
Yes.
1999.
I
How
made
much-
about 10,000.
And what kind of work were you doing?
Warehouse labor.
And how much did you earn in 1999?
Close to around, I think, 7,000.
How much?
7,000.
So she earned more than you did.
That's incorrect. She never did work in '99. She was home in the house. Matter of fact, she was taking care of the kids while I was at work.
Well, you didn't support your family on $7,000 a year. Where was the other money coming
I had,
from?
when I wasn't working, because I worked most of the time at the end of the year, I had to apply for aid because he was in and out of jail and couldn't keep a job. Called me 2 o'clock in the morning, said, come get me. He got in a fight with one of his co-workers.
So am I correct that you were receiving welfare?
Yes, in the beginning of the year.
Is that correct, sir?
That's correct.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
We've been kicked out of several places because he's either gotten in a fight with the landlord or pulled his pants down and ran down the street. He has a bad drinking habit.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Brandy Bishop is suing the father of her 2 children, Thomas Michael Hall, for an income tax refund.
What month did you start working?
It was like June, July.
Of 1999?
Yes. I work for my mother, and I've been doing it since 6 of 96.
Well, does she pay you?
She pays me, or the person I work for pays me. It all depends on what I'm doing.
How old are your children?
1 and 3.
How much of a tax refund did you get, sir?
I received $1,943.
And that's from $7,000 worth of income?
That and the earned income credit from the children as claim deductions.
Well, you got that 1943 based on the children, clearly, right?
That's correct.
You say that you never had an agreement with her to give her half the tax refund.
That's correct. I never did have an agreement. She's ever since we split up, she's been really resentful, and matter of fact, every time I've come to pick up the children, she throws that in my face about the money. She says, if you don't have my $900, you can't get your kids on my visitation days. And
well, so why don't you just give her the money? It's reasonable that you give her the money.
Because
it's not reasonable that you keep all the money.
Well, as a matter of fact, she even claimed her children that don't even live with her. She has 2 other children that she claimed don't even live with her for last year.
Your Honor.
Just a second. That has nothing to do with this case. That has something to do with another father. We're talking about these 2 children. Your 2 children. You got $1,943 because you say you supported the children during the calendar year of 1999. For at least 2 months out of that period of time, she wasn't even living with you, right?
That's correct.
Were you paying support during those 2 months, November and December?
No, I wasn't. I had the kids with me during that time up until February of 2000.
So they were actually living with you?
That's correct.
Full time?
That's correct.
Is that right?
Off and on. They were with both of us. There was just no court orders. We were sharing the children. There was no court orders.
Okay. Let me see a copy of your tax returns. I see that you have no papers with you, so you don't have copies of your tax returns.
I haven't gotten them back yet.
Mr. Hall, in order to claim the children as a tax deduction, tax was never my strong suit. But I seem to recall that you have to be able to establish that you paid more than 50% of the children's support. You didn't pay more than 50% of the children's support.
During the times that I wasn't supporting him, we were on AFDC, that's correct, but she never had any provable income nor income at all. I feel that with what I did make, I filed his household because I did support the family and the kids.
Who paid the rent?
I paid the rent.
How much was the rent?
The rent was close to $300.
Your Honor, that's not true.
No, that's impossible.
We've been kicked out of several places because he's either gotten in a fight with the landlord or pulled his pants down and ran down the street. He has a bad drinking habit.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
Mr. Hall, it is unreasonable for you to keep all this money for yourself, sir. Whether she supported the children in working as a home health care aide, she says she earned about $10,000 last year, even if she earned less, even if she only earned $5,000. Let's say even if she was receiving public assistance. That means that you were each contributing to the children's support. That doesn't mean that you end up with a windfall. Why should you end up with this $2,000 windfall?
Because she's fraudulently filed for the last 3 years on money that she's never even earned.
Your
Just
Honor. Just a second. Why would you claim money that you never earned to the government?
She's done it. I've been there when she's done it. I've been there with her.
Explain that to me. This is a new one. You mean somebody files tax returns and say that they earned more than they actually earned?
That's correct.
Can you think of a rational reason for any person to do that?
Because she is a very money-hungry person, and if she has an edge on getting money, she will do that.
Explain how that happens, Mr. Hall. How do you think that that happens?
She went to the preparer, and she explained that she made money, cash money, but was not provable, and they said, well, you need to file a 1099 on that.
Yes.
She never followed through and filed it, but she still got money back. It did happen. I don't know.
Your Honor, just a minute. You think that if you haven't paid in any money to the government in taxes, you can tell them that you made cash, and they give you back money that they never got?
Up until you get audited, I'm sure you could do that.
You are not entitled to a windfall, Mr. Hall. Let's get this down, Pat, so we get it down to the dollar and cent of it. $1,943 divided by 2.
$971.50.
Judgment for the plaintiff. Thank you very much. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
37-year-old resort reservationist Kim Allen is suing ex-boyfriend, 39-year-old restaurant manager Thomas Andrews for a loan to pay his child support.
Order. All rise.
Now, this is case number 77 on the calendar in the matter of Allen versus Andrews.
Thank you, Bert.
Quite welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in, Your Honor. You may be seated. Sir, have a seat, please.
Miss Allen, you and the defendant lived together for how long?
About 2 years.
And you have no children together?
No, we do not.
But you just resided in the same apartment?
Correct.
Okay. And according to your complaint, there came a time when Mr. Andrews had fallen behind in some child support payments to former mate, former spouse, ex-wife. He faced the potential of being incarcerated. It's sort of convoluted, but I gather that he couldn't ask his parents for money directly.
Correct.
So you made arrangements to borrow the $1,300 that he needed with the understanding and the promise to his parents that you would pay that debt back to them when you got your tax return.
Correct.
You say you got your tax return, you did pay them back $1,300, you and the defendant went your separate ways, and you want the $1,300 back from him.
Correct.
And Mr. Andrews says that the money was joint. The money that was paid back to his parents, he acknowledges that it was paid back to his parents, but it came out of a joint account. That's your defense, sir?
Yes.
Okay.
It's not true.
When did you go to court for child support, sir?
3 of 98.
And how much did you owe in child support?
I owed, what I needed to pay was like $1,843.
What did you owe?
$2,300. $2,300.
And what were you told if you didn't come up with $1,800?
That I could possibly go to jail.
So what did you do?
I talked with, Kim and I went over and talked with my mom and dad.
So the two of you went over together?
Absolutely. We were in my attorney's office. We went and talked to my mom and dad about borrowing the money from them. We borrowed part of the money from them. We didn't borrow all the money from them because we had
$1,300.
$1,300, right?
Okay.
Right.
$1,300 from your parents.
Right.
Had you borrowed money from them before?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Often?
Not often. My mom and dad are not big on loaning money. They like for you to kind of make your own way.
Was there any discussion at that time of when they were going to be paid back?
Yes, that would be their first question. How and when are you going to pay me back?
And what was the discussion?
The discussion was we wrote them a check for part of it. They were to cash it on a certain date, and that...
Okay, let's go back.
Okay.
This is March of '98.
Yes, ma'am.
You wrote out a check to your parents.
Yes, ma'am.
Which I assume you have.
No, I
Cancel
don't.
check?
I have no check stuff. She has all that.
You have them?
I do.
And what was the date of the first payment to his parents?
That was on March 10th.
That's when the first payment was to be made to them. They could cash the check.
That was when I got my taxes back and the check was sent to them.
Let me see. Are you telling me that at the time you took out this, you borrowed $1,300, you did not in fact give them a check, as Mr. Andrews says?
No, we did not.
Partial check.
No, we
Partial
did not.
check. For how much?
It was $500 and some odd dollars because you can see I have a $1,843 payment that was made on 3 of 98 to the child support
No,
services.
listen to me, sir.
Okay.
That wasn't made to your parents. If you owed them $1,800, you borrowed $1,300 for your parents, you didn't make your parents a payment of $500. You made the government. You sent to the child collection unit $500.
No, I borrowed $1,843 from my mom and dad and sent my mom and dad a check for $500 and whatever odd dollars it was.
The check
if
that
I'm not
they
mistaken.
gave him, the pink copy at the top, is for $1,343, and that is what we borrowed from them. They had made the check out to him to pay to Alamance County Courthouse.
Right. My mom and dad gave me a check, and I went and got a counter check for it, a bank check for it.
Doesn't make any difference. They gave you $1,300. That's all. That's what they gave you. They didn't
Right,
give you
okay.
$1,800.
Okay.
So the $500, you didn't give them a payment for $500, which is exactly what I said, Mr. Andrews. You gave the court $1,800, $1,300 from your parents, and $500 from you.
Right, okay.
Right?
Well, it's been so long ago, some of these money amounts are not quite...
Well, you've been living with this situation, sir. I've only been trying to understand for 3 minutes, and I got it.
I understand.
Okay, good. I'm glad you understand. So now we're down to $1,300. Now, the $1,300 was repaid on the 10th of March.
And that was out of his account, ma'am. It was not out of a joint account. That was out of his account.
How did this $1,343 get into your account, sir?
I would assume we had both put it in there.
Don't
Money.
assume anything. Try to remember.
I'm sure she got her tax money back, put it back in there, put it in there. She has held all my financial records. I have nothing.
I didn't hold them, ma'am.
If you look at who wrote that check, you'll see her handwriting.
No, that's your handwriting.
Just a second.
Is it?
Joe, just a second. No, it's your handwriting.
It is? Okay. I haven't seen it. She kept it all.
Mr. Andrews, you said rather emphatically a moment ago that it wasn't your handwriting, that you remembered.
She usually wrote all the checks. She even wrote checks out of my
But
account.
do you understand what I just said
Oh,
to
I
you? You
understand.
said it's not my handwriting. She wrote the check.
Right. I
That was said with a certain authority.
Okay, I understand.
Okay, so this money came out of your account just a few days later
Right.
to pay back your parents.
Right.
It didn't come out of a joint account. It came out of your account.
Right.
Did you put the money there?
I don't know if I put any of it there, to be honest with you. It's been so long ago. I'm sure that when we talked to my mom and dad, we had a method of paying them back, and the method was...
Well, the
she
method
was
of paying them
having
back
tax
was-
money. Right, exactly.
Tax money.
Exactly.
Her tax money.
Right. She had definitely, yeah.
So why don't you owe her this money?
I have no idea. I don't think I owe her
said-
any money.
Well, explain that to me. I mean, your answer, Mr. Andrews, says that the money was paid from a joint... Let me
Right.
try to...
That was best of my recollection. She's had...
That doesn't say to the best of your recollection here.
I
It
understand.
says, my parents loaned Kim and I the money to pay my child support payments.
Right.
We paid them back around a month later from our joint bank account.
This is not the first loan that Kim and I have had with my parents. And
That-
we've
This is
had
the only
loans
loan.
with-
Just a
we've
second.
had loan-
Ma'am.
This is the only loan I'm talking about.
Okay. Okay.
Yes, it was.
This is the only loan that's being sued for,
Right.
and your parents aren't suing you. They got their money back.
Right. Right.
So what you're telling me now, Mr. Andrews, after some dancing around, is that the money was, in fact, put in your account by the plaintiff to pay back your parents, and it was put there from her tax return.
I'm sure it was.
Good. Now, did you pay her back?
Not directly in a $1,300 check. I worked every day, check every week.
So
you know,
did
I was
I,
the
ma'am.
breadwinner. You know.
So, no.
I brought the money
I
in the
brought home-
household.
Just a second.
She didn't want me to go to jail because she wanted to make sure somebody was there to support her.
Well, were you working during that time? Let me ask you this question, Mr. Andrews. If she was getting a tax refund, that means she was employed.
I have 2 children.
Shh, just a second. That means she was employed
Right.
and earning money,
Right.
so that you weren't supporting her.
Not totally.
Even
And
if he wasn't
certainly,
there.
sir, she had more money than you did because you fell behind in your child support payments, so you couldn't even keep up your primary obligation, which is support your children.
Right. My actual child support was, there was an order to modify that. The original order that was put in was incorrect. I was paying for children that weren't mine, and it was overpayment, underpayment.
What do you mean? You were paying for children that weren't yours.
The first order that I had was for a child. It wasn't mine. I was paying child support for 2 children, and I only had 1 child.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Former boyfriend, Thomas Andrews, for a loan to pay his child support. He says he paid it back.
Were you paying for 2 children, sir, because both of those children were receiving welfare?
No.
Well, the only way you can pay for a child that's not yours, in most jurisdictions in this country, is if you're married to their mother and you are their step-parent, and there isn't another deep pocket to go after, so they say as a step-parent you are responsible for paying support, at least to the amount that the citizens are paying for that child support.
Right.
So is this child that you say, I find this interesting, is the child that is not yours a child that is totally unknown to you?
No, not unknown to me. No,
It wasn't a stranger that they picked out of a bucket
No.
and said, Mr. Andrews, you're going to pay for this child.
No.
So who is this child?
That child was my ex-wife's child.
Right. So
Right,
you were
exactly.
the stepfather of that child.
For about 3, yes, exactly.
Right. And as the stepfather of that child, there was a time when those 2 children were receiving public assistance.
No, well, I get if you, yes, sure.
And therefore, the state was pursuing you for child support for both of those children. While the relationship of step-parent, stepchild existed until you were divorced.
Well, actually, my wife had this child while we were still married, but it was another man's child.
Oh, well, that makes it even more interesting. Still in all, there must have been welfare involved.
Right.
If you're going to be a good judge in the family court, you got to learn one thing. It's not like any other business. You got to follow the money.
Right.
You owe $1,300 judgment for the plaintiff.
Thank you, ma'am.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I lent him that money, and he promised me he'd pay me back, and it was my money to begin with because I earned it.
I do not believe I owe her any money at all. I have put money in that relationship to ends meet, and I guess hopefully this will be finished. She has been pursuing me for money, and hopefully this will be the last straw.
I called him a few times, and first time he said he had to think about it. Second time he said he wasn't going to. So that was my money, and I was going to get it.
She just keeps digging for money. I've got receipts here where she dug for money last year. Hopefully this will put a stop to it.
Girls out there, women out there, don't just give your money to any man.
Bring it to the diva of truth and justice, Judge Judy.
That's right.
And now the next case.
All parties on Sheamus versus Summer. Step forward, please.
26-year-old second-grade teacher Corey Sheamus is suing ex-boyfriend, 25-year-old music teacher David Somer, for a computer and a tattoo.
Miss Sheamus, were you dating the defendant for a while?
Yes, I had been.
And during that time, a sister gave him a computer. You said that you would hook up the computer or do whatever you do with computers, and while you were doing that, you broke it. Is that right?
It had crashed and some things needed to be reinstalled. It wasn't totally broken.
But that's while you were working on it.
Right.
So according to your complaint, you went out with the defendant, purchased a new computer, loaned him $400 towards a new computer. The second part of your complaint is you wanted to get tattooed. You wanted to get joint tattoos. He didn't have any money. You laid out the money. It was $600 in total, and he gave you $50 towards the purchase of a computer. Is that right?
It wasn't joint tattoos. We were going to get them together.
Or you were going to get them at the same time. He says he never accepted any of this as a loan, but I assume that you purchased the computer because you broke the one he had, and the tattoos were a gift. Okay. Plaintiff came over and you asked her to help you, or she volunteered?
She had volunteered.
Is that right?
He said, well, you know what you're doing, so go ahead and work on the computer.
So you did, it broke. Then what did you do?
Then we decided to take it to a computer store and see how much it would be to get the programs reinstalled that we needed to reinstall to fix it.
Okay, so far, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And what did you both learn at the computer store?
It was going to be about as much, maybe a little bit less to get the computer fixed than to purchase a new one.
So what was the conversation?
I said, I will loan you the money, and you can pay me back. The agreement was he was going to pay me back as much as he could every week, $25, $50, until it was paid off.
The computer was originally to be used in my work, my business, and that's where everything had happened. She had felt bad about breaking my computer, therefore she bought me the new computer.
Well, don't tell me what she felt. Did you have a discussion with her about payment for the computer?
No, she said, I broke your computer, so I'm going to get you a new one.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Why would you indulge yourself advancing him another $200 to put him another $200 in debt to you to get something that was whimsical, like a tattoo?
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Corey Seamus is suing former boyfriend David Somer for a computer and a tattoo.
Did he make any payments at all?
He made one payment of $50.
When?
Probably a week or so after it was initially purchased.
What did you give her the $50 for?
That's all I had. I figured if she's going to buy me a computer, I may as well give her what I have for it.
You sent that 2 weeks later.
No, the money I gave her was that day that we purchased a computer.
So you didn't send her anything afterwards?
No, it was that day.
That's not correct. When we went to purchase the computer, he paid $50 or $60. He put, that's what he had on him. I had paid for the rest. And then it was a week or so, a few weeks later, he gave me $50.
I wasn't working. I had no source of income. There was no way that was possible.
He gave me $50 a couple weeks later.
What did he say when he gave you $50 a couple of weeks later?
At that point, I believe we were still dating, and he said, I have some money. He was planning on paying me back. He'd even told me he's planning on paying me back. Whenever he had a couple dollars here, a couple dollars there, he was going to pay me back.
All right, now let me hear about the tattoos.
I decided that I wanted to get one, and we decided we were going to go get one together, and he said that he was going to have the money at the end of the week.
So what did you say?
So I said, I will loan you the $200 for the tattoo. We'll get them, and you'll pay me back at the end of the week.
If you knew he had no money for a computer, why would you indulge yourself in advancing him another $200 to put him another $200 in debt to you to get something that was whimsical, like a tattoo?
Because I was afraid I'd chicken out on getting the
Then
tattoo.
that's what you wrote here. Then that's your problem.
But
no.
Your Honor, I also have internet messages back and forth and emails from David.
Let me see.
And you'll see on those internet messages, he says, I'm a man of my word. I hope you're recording these messages. I plan on paying you. I'm just not working.
Just a second. Could you show this to the defendant, please?
I have an extra copy. Do you want me to?
No, let him just look it over briefly. Does that refresh your recollection?
Yes, ma'am, but she also does not have, I don't have neither, but copies of harassments towards me. This was after the harassments.
Just a second, sir.
Yes, sir.
Were you in the privacy of your own home when you had this conversation
Yes, ma'am.
with her? So you weren't being harassed at the time? Nobody was holding a gun to your head, is that right?
No, ma'am.
And you had this conversation where you clearly say to her, you'll get your money, but right now you can't get blood from a stone. I'll give it to you when I have it. You want me to give you some other quotes?
No, ma'am.
All right. Ms. Seamus, you acted foolishly. Foolishly because at the same time when he didn't have enough money to buy something that he needed for work, according to him, you decided that you wanted to have a tattoo. And it couldn't wait.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
Based upon your correspondence, sir, these were loans, not gifts.
Before this, I was receiving phone call after phone call, emails, instant messages. I want money, I want money. My mama told me, just tell her you're going to pay her and get her off your back.
That's not what that says, sir. This is a 4-page dialogue. You should have listened to your mother. You should have paid her. Because there's nothing like a woman that feels as if not only has the relationship expired, but it's expired, and she's $600 out with a tattoo, no less. Can I have the evidence back, please, Bert? Now, my only problem, Mr. Somer, is she's suing for $550. According to you, you owe her $600. She says that you gave her a check for $50 2 weeks after the computer was purchased. You say you never sent her such a check. You think she's wrong?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, then you would owe her more than she's suing for.
No, I paid her the day of. I gave her $60.
In any event, Ms. Seamus, he doesn't get it. You're only suing for $550. That's what you say he owes. He would like to pay you more, but I can't let him do that. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $550, that's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy will continue. Cab driver Steve Stover is suing 24-year-old waitress Angela Morton and her friend, 23-year-old sales agent Jessica Shibley, for false prosecution. They claim Steve was arrested because he fractured Jessica's cheekbone when he hit her with a credit card machine.
Order. All rise.
Yeah, this is case number 89 on the calendar in the matter of Stover versus Morton Shibley. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ladies, have seats, please.
You're Mr. Stover.
Yes, ma'am.
Who's April?
My cousin right there.
Could you step up, April, because you're very much involved with this sad tale that I really tried very hard to organize with limited success. But from what I gather, you and your cousin were out for an evening.
Me, my cousin, and my friend Tammy there.
And you were at some sort of a club?
Yes, ma'am.
And these two ladies were also trying to get into the club?
Yes, ma'am.
And according to you, something happened between April and these two young ladies. They thought she said something untoward to them, or that she smiled and said they couldn't get in and we did. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
So after the club was over, you went back to April's house?
Yes.
And when you got to April's house, you found these two ladies there, waiting for her.
Yes, ma'am. I got there first, and they were setting up the street waiting.
Did you have a conversation with them?
When I pulled in the driveway, they pulled down, and yes, I had a conversation with them.
What did you say to them, and what did they say to you?
It was just a casual conversation. They asked me where April was and when she'd be home, and told them that she was on her way. She'd went to go get pizza.
And after April came home, that's when all this fracas started. And your lawsuit, Mr. Stover, says that one of these two young ladies, that's Angela. Which one is Angela?
I am.
That Angela broke the window on your car with her shoe.
Yes.
She acknowledges that she did that. She says she was defending herself. She was aiming for you and you ducked. That's your defense.
Well, yes.
That's what I read here. You also claim that Jessica, that's you,
Yes, ma'am.
had you arrested for assault, as a result of which you had lost earnings, you drive a cab, couldn't drive for 4 months.
Yes, ma'am. It was malicious wounding, which was a felony. You know.
And those charges were ultimately dismissed.
The first charges were, then they appealed it to a higher charge, aggravated malicious wounding, which it was a worse 20 years to life.
And was that also dismissed?
Yes, ma'am.
After a trial?
Yes, ma'am.
So there was a full trial?
There was a full trial.
Where you testified and she testified?
Yes.
So you are suing Jessica for having you falsely arrested and loss of income. She is counterclaiming because she says that you assaulted her with some sort of a machine that takes credit cards, imprints.
Yes, ma'am. I have that with me.
You acknowledge that you did, in fact, hit her with that.
Yes, ma'am. It's self-defense.
Okay, so that's what the case is about. So let's get back to the girls are there waiting for April. April has her pizza and comes back to the house. Okay? What is the very next thing that happened? You want to tell me, April?
Jessica called me over to her car. So I walked over to her car. And
You had known her from before that evening?
Yeah. As far as I knew, we were friends. We had talked. Every time we'd seen each other out, we had talked to each other.
Okay. So she called you over to her car?
Yes. I walked over to her car, asked her what was going on. As soon as I did that, she reached out, grabbed me by the back of my hair, twisted me, and had me upside down in her car. The top of my head was in her lap.
Okay. Then what happened?
I asked her what was going on. She said I was talking or dancing with her boyfriend, which was not true. We were there maybe 10 minutes at that club.
She still got you in the car?
She has me in this underneath with my head.
So you're talking?
Yeah, I was trying to talk nice and calm to her, and I thought we were friends at that time,
Okay, well, clearly at that time she didn't want to be your friend.
Evidently not.
So what happened?
I just kept asking her why she was doing it, and I yelled for Steve. I was like, Steve, come over here and tell her what we did. So Steve eventually comes over.
And what happened, Steve, when you walked over?
Well, when she first hollered for me, I didn't know what was going on. I didn't realize the seriousness of it. And then I eventually went over there and seen what was going on. And we both were trying to reason with Jessica. We told her whatever we did, if we laughed at you, we were sorry. And that's when Angie got out of the other side.
Who was driving?
Angie.
Go ahead.
And she got out, and when she come out, she had a lock blade knife, and she brandished it to Brad and myself. And it pretty much scared us right bad. Then she got back in the driver's side, and as far as I could see, she folded the knife up and put it in the middle console. So that's when I was worried for her, because the way her head was in the car, you know, I was...
Her head was still in the car?
Yes, her head was still in... I was thinking the worst, you know, she could have got cut or anything. So I did what I had to do. I beat down on Jessica's arms and got April's hair loose. And she fell back onto the ground. Then they got mad because I'd got her loose. They chased me to my truck. Jessica was first chasing me. And I was running to my truck trying to get to the phone so I could call the police. And I didn't know who had the knife at the time. So I used to work for a frozen food company selling frozen food. So I had a credit card machine. And I grabbed the first thing I could out of my truck. And I've got the credit card machine here if you'd like to see it.
I would.
Okay. This is the credit.
Gotcha.
That's the credit card machine. I grabbed it out of the truck. I swung it around just wildly, not knowing, just trying to protect myself because I thought she had the knife with her. I didn't know who had the knife. That's when she got flattened on the ground. And then
Who got flattened?
Jessica knocked her down.
Got flattened.
I got into the truck. Angie was still on her way to the truck. I locked the door. I was on the phone with the state police. And that's when she took this shoe and smashed the side window out of my truck. It shattered it. And it's like they ran off. They said they were going to get reinforcements. I was on the phone with the state police. They were connecting me with the Roanoke City police.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. He was acting in self-defense when he hit Jessica Shibley in the face with a credit card machine. He claims that Jessica had him falsely prosecuted. Jessica is countersuing for her injuries.
Now, as a result of this, Jessica, you suffered some very serious injury.
Yes, ma'am.
And when you suffered this serious injury, you were right near his truck.
Actually, I just stepped out of the car.
You were right near his truck?
Well, about a car length away, yes, ma'am.
Well, let's go back a little bit. What were you two ladies doing going to her house?
We did go to her house.
For what?
To question her about what had happened at the bar. We were not even in the bar.
What do you mean question her?
Well,
what does that mean, question her?
They had made some comments that upset me, so I went to
What
ask
kind
them
of
about
comments?
it. Something about us not being able to get in. They thought that was really funny.
So they laughed at you?
Yes, ma'am.
That you couldn't get into the club and they did?
Yes, ma'am.
That's what you went to question them about?
Yes, ma'am.
Where had you been before that evening?
We had just been out and about.
What do you mean out and about? What does that mean, out and
We
about?
had been downtown. In
Downtown
our
where?
Local places where we live, downtown Roanoke. Some different nightclubs and things down there.
All right, so you'd been to some clubs that evening?
Yes, ma'am.
How many clubs had you been to that evening?
We didn't even go in one downtown. We had stopped at a little place on Winter Road before we proceeded to go to the one they were at.
Okay. So then you go to April's house to discuss with her.
Yes, ma'am.
Her laughing at you.
Yes, ma'am.
And who grabbed her in a headlock?
She wasn't in a headlock.
Who grabbed her in a headlock and grabbed her
by
hair?
the back of the hair after she stuck her head in the car.
She stuck her head in the car
Yes,
to talk to you?
When she come to the car, she stuck her head in the car.
And what did she say?
She basically asked me what I wanted, and that's when I did grab her by the back of the head.
You grabbed her by the back of the hair. If you're sitting in the car and grabbed her by the back of the hair, then her head's in the car.
Yes, ma'am.
You have no right to do that.
You're right.
That started all the trouble.
Yeah.
Ended up you got your face bashed in.
Yes, ma'am.
That's too bad.
Yeah.
You think you deserve to get paid for that?
I don't deserve to have to pay him.
Why not?
I never laid a hand on him.
You started it. Two of you started it. You want to show me the picture so that I can see just how dumb you are? pretty dumb. You had your cheekbone fractured?
Broken.
Broken. Fractured means broken.
Oh, yeah.
Broken. Huh. You had surgery?
Yes, ma'am.
That's pretty bad. What kind of knife was there?
There was no.
Don't tell me there was no knife. I don't want to hear there was no knife. Do you understand? I don't want to hear there was no knife. Now, it could have been a little knife. It could have been one of those little red knives. What do they call those? Swiss Army knives. You know.
I never held a knife. I never seen a knife.
Yeah.
And that is after my surgery. The police would not release the other pictures before the thing.
Oh, I'm sure they were terrible.
Yes.
Who do you have to blame for that?
Steve?
No! You. He was protecting his cousin.
His cousin was in the house when I had gotten hit. Angela was out of
Just
the
a
car.
minute. If her cousin was in the house,
After
and you
this
had come to speak, listen to me. If she had run into the house because her head got loose, right? And you had finished your conversation with her.
Yes, ma'am.
What were you doing out of the car?
Because as I looked over to leave Angela, she was gone out of the car. I stepped out of the car to check on her, and that's
What do you
when
mean check on her? What was she doing out of the car?
I have no idea. All I know, as it was going on, they were yelling about guns and everything. So I look over, and she's gone. I get out to make sure she's okay, and that's when I got hit. No one chased anyone. I got hit as soon as I stepped in the grass.
Why did you step in the grass for? Why didn't you stay in the car?
I got out to check on her. That's my fault.
Caused your broken face. You started this trouble. I believe him when he says there was a knife in the console of the car, that he had seen it. Oh, I believe that. So your counterclaim is dismissed. Whatever bills you had for your face, take care of them. You went over there to cause trouble that evening. There's no question in my mind that you did. And you got it. You got more trouble than you bargained for. Well, that sometimes happens to bullies. Bullies sometimes get the short end of the stick.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I didn't smash his window in. I threw my shoe.
You told me in your answer, madam, that you were aiming for him.
No, I threw my shoe at him, and it hit
Right. What word didn't you understand that I said?
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Steve Stover is suing Angela Morton and Jessica Shibley for having him falsely prosecuted and for smashing his windshield.
So the police were called, right?
Yes, ma'am.
When were you stopped?
The police never come to us. We went up the street, which my mother lives 3 houses up the street from this. We went to another friend's house, and she called the ambulance. The ambulance come, the police come. I went straight to emergency room.
And what'd you break his window for?
I broke his window because he was trying to leave, and she was laying on the ground, and I was scared, so I just threw my shoe. I wasn't running up to his truck, and I didn't smash his window in. I threw my shoe.
You told me in your answer, madam, that you were aiming for him.
No, I threw my shoe at him, and it hit
Right.
his
That's what you
truck.
said. What word didn't you understand that I said? You said in your answer, I was aiming for him, and he ducked, and I hit the window.
Yes.
Why?
Because she was laying on the ground. I didn't know what he was going back in his truck to get, if he was going to hit me.
What were you doing out of your car?
I was out of my car because they were screaming stuff. I didn't want them to run up on me and hit me.
They weren't running anywhere. She was in the house, according to your friend, and he had walked away. So what did you get out of your car for?
I got out of my car because him and Brad were hollering stuff.
And you didn't like that they were hollering stuff? You have
No, I didn't know
you
what
ever
they were
hear
going to
sticks
do.
and stones will break my bones, but names will never hurt me?
I didn't know what they were going to do. I didn't want to be sitting
Well,
in the
if you
car
don't know what
anymore.
they're going to do, madam, then you get in your car and you go away. You don't get out of your car to confront them, especially when you've been the aggressor. You don't get out of your car. You stay in your car, and you go to her mother's house, which is 3 houses away. So you were arrested.
Yes, ma'am. And I was running. After I got my cousin loose, we all scattered, and we were running to get away from the trouble. They chased me to the truck.
I believe that they chased you to the truck. Oh, I believe that they chased you to the truck. So you were, in fact, arrested.
Yes, I was.
How long were you incarcerated?
I explained the story, what happened to the magistrate at the time, and he let me out on my own recognizance.
Now, why do you say you lost earnings?
Okay, originally, the first charge, when it was dismissed, they brought up new charges and made it aggravated malicious wounding and was a felony. And the city of Roanoke will not allow you, even though I hadn't been convicted, they will not allow me to have my cab license.
Now, let me ask you this question. How many witnesses testified at the criminal trial?
Myself, April, Tammy, and Brad.
Tammy, you were there?
Yes, ma'am.
Step up here, please. Do you know these two young ladies?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you see Jessica get hit in the face?
Yes, ma'am. I saw everything.
Saw everything?
Yes, ma'am. I was standing right there when everything happened.
I would like you to tell me how close Jessica was to the truck when she got hit in the face.
She was at the door to the truck because Steve reached in and he turned around and Jessica was there because they both ran past me to get to the truck. I was standing next to the car when everybody jumped out.
She wasn't a truck length away.
No.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Now, did you see Steve run to the truck?
I saw Steve run to the truck because April went flying. Steve immediately ran to the truck past me, right next to me. Jessica jumped out of the car, ran past me.
She jumped out of the...
She came barreling out of the car. I mean, she jumped out of the car.
How far did she have to run to get to the truck?
About a car and a half length.
But she was right behind him?
She was right behind him.
And where was Angela at this time?
Angela was on the other side of the car, and she jumped out of the car at the same time Jessica did.
Did she run up behind Jessica?
She was at the door. As soon as Steve hit Jessica, Steve jumped in the car, locked the window. Angela was right there at the truck and smashed the window.
I have all the receipts also for a rental car.
No, I don't need anything. You're suing the defendants, both defendants, for $5,000. You're claiming that as a result of their actions, you were arrested, you had to go through 2 trials. Were you given a public defender, or did you have to hire a lawyer?
I got a public defender.
And you went through how many days of trial?
The latter half of the trial lasted from about 12:30 in the afternoon to 6 in the evening, and then it was held over. The judge said he would make his decision. He was going to read over all the paperwork, and I had to come back the 26th.
How many witnesses did you have at the trial?
1. Just 1.
Evidently the judge didn't believe you. Me neither. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $5,000. Your counterclaims dismissed. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy continues. Computer salesman Ronald Carter is suing his ex-girlfriend, 23-year-old nurse Catherine Overby, for a down payment on a car. Catherine has a countersuit claiming Ronald assaulted her with a knife.
Order. All rise.
Your Honor, this is case number 200 on the calendar, the matter of Carter versus Overby.
How are you, Bird?
Good, Judge. Parties have been sworn in, Your Honor. You may be seated. Folks, have seats, please.
Mr. Carter, according to your complaint, you and the defendant decided to start to live together. You were living in one city, she was living in another city. You joined her where she was living, and you needed a car. According to you, you went shopping for a car. You gave her $1,000 towards the deposit for the car. So far, correct?
Yes, correct.
You lived together for a while. It didn't work out. She kept the car. You want your money back.
Yes.
You have a counterclaim. Counterclaim is on the day that you decided to ultimately break up, Mr. Carter became very violent, and there was an incident in the car that involved not only an assault, but certain destruction of your property, correct?
Correct.
When did you decide to purchase this car together?
In February.
And you had not yet moved down to where the defendant was living?
That's correct.
Correct. And you went shopping for the car, and what kind of car did you decide to buy?
It was a 97 Toyota Camry.
Did you go together?
We went together to pick out the car. When we did the agreement and all the dealer papers, this was done... Okay.
Everything is in your name?
Correct.
You say from the day the car came off the lot, he drove it?
Correct.
How long did you drive the car, sir?
1 month.
Till March?
Yep.
Is that when you broke up?
Yes.
When was the first car payment due?
It was end of March. I'm not sure on the exact date.
Do you know?
We purchased the car on 2/23. The first car payment was due on 3/23, which I paid in full myself.
When did you have this argument?
The argument happened on 3/23.
On the day the car payment was due?
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. Now, how much did you put it down as a down payment?
I put $1,000 down.
Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay. So, Miss Overby, this romance lasted 4 weeks after you purchased the car, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Now, let's say that he used the car for an entire month.
Correct.
And the car payment was
$37.38.
And you acknowledge that you used the car for the whole month?
Yes, correct.
Well, do you think it's fair, Miss Overby, that he should be out his $1,000?
Considering the trauma that I've gone through, the vandalism to my car...
We'll get to your counterclaim in a minute.
Okay.
Let's forget counterclaim for a second. Let's talk about his case. You think it's fair?
I do, considering he used the car for the whole month.
Well, what if, Miss Overby, we did what would be a common sense thing and say to Mr. Carter, look, you used the car for a month, and the car payment for that month was $337. So I'm going to deduct the $337 for your use of the car, right? You couldn't rent a car for less.
Yes.
And I'll give you the balance. Are you following me?
Correct, yes.
Would that be fair?
Yes.
Now, when you broke up that evening, according to what I've read, you came home and found him loading his stuff into this new car.
Correct.
And it was your intention to take the car.
Just to take my stuff back to a location in Boston.
And what did you intend then to do with the car?
I talked to her before. I said if she wanted to keep the car, all she had to do was just return my deposit, or if not, she could go down and transfer the lease into my name. You know, that way it would free her up. But she chose just to want to take the car and go.
You think it's fair, don't you, that you pay for something, some part of that car?
Yes.
Okay. Bird, I'm going to try to work this machine now, you know.
Okay.
This may take a little time. This is not my strong suit, this calculator machine. Ah, 663. Did it. Okay. So, according to what I see, sir, that's $663 that you owe her. Now, you have another small amount of money that you say you spent on this car, and that was to register it.
Registration, which she didn't put anything in.
Okay, and how much did it cost you to register the car?
Like $220.
Show me.
That one, she has it because it was in her name. So all the registration is in her name.
Did he register the car?
He registered the car.
Did he pay for the registration?
He offered the money to me. He gave this money to me as a gift. He said in order for us to do anything together as a couple, he wanted us to be a strong couple.
Why don't you just give me an answer?
Yes,
did he pay
did.
the $220?
Yes, he did.
Okay. And I'm going to give you credit, sir, for the $220 you spent to register the car, because there are some interesting lessons here. One of them is, you don't buy things jointly unless you're married, because courts get irritated if they have to resolve these things between people who are foolish enough to try a living arrangement and then buy cars together and houses together and credit cards together, and then we're asked to take this mishmash and make it right. There are more important things we have to do in courts. You understand that? Next time you decide to live with somebody, keep it separate.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment. Ronald Carter says his former live-in girlfriend, Catherine Overby, owes him for a down payment on a car. Catherine is accusing Ronald of kidnapping her at knife point.
Now, let's hear what kind of a bad person you were on the night you broke up, because Miss Overby says that her counterclaim is a serious one. Is that right, Miss Overby?
Yes.
Tell me what happened.
I was at work. Mr. Pickett had bounced a check to me on behalf of my son due to his non-payment of child support. This is my son's father.
What are you doing sitting over there, sir? I mean, what are you doing here in court?
The initial broke-up instigated between those two, which trapped me in the middle.
Sit down. Sit down. Okay. He's your child's father. He bounced a check. What happened with him? March 23rd.
I got home from work that evening at 10 o'clock. Ronald was coming down the stairs with bags of stuff and putting it in the car. I said, Ronald, I said, what are you doing? He goes, I'm taking the car. And I said, you can't just take the car. That's considered auto theft. And he says, I don't care. He said, until I get my $1,000 back, I'm stealing the car. I told him, I said, listen, I said, he's acting completely irrational. I totally believe to this day, Your Honor, that this man has an anger problem. And he needs to deal with it because it's very dangerous. I went to the ATM.
Just a second.
What is she talking?
Just a second. So he said he wanted his $1,000 and he was taking the car until he got his $1,000. And you believed he was irrational, but you got into the car with him anyway.
Yes, because he was threatening to steal the car.
All right. A car is a car. Your life is your life. You're supposed to be smart, but you got into the car. And you got into the passenger seat of the car.
I got into the driver's seat of the car at that point.
Well, you didn't end up in the driver's seat.
Correct.
Because he got into the driver's seat, according to your complaint.
Correct.
How did that happen?
I was driving down a highway in New Hampshire called 93.
You were driving?
I was driving at this point. He put a knife to the back of my neck and had control of the wheel and insisted to me to pull off at exits. This man had a knife to my neck. He made me pull the car over. He told me to get out of the car and move to the passenger side, which I didn't. I switched seats within the car. And then he drove.
Where did he drive to?
He drove to his mother's house in Roxbury, Massachusetts.
Okay. Were you talking while you were doing this drive? Were you talking about your problems?
Right.
Were you talking about your problems, Miss Overby?
Yes, we were talking about our problems.
Were you talking about the relationship and how it didn't work out? Were you talking about your son? Were you talking about your son's father?
I was talking about how I wanted to go home to my son. I said, if you're going to kill me, I said, let me give my son a last kiss goodbye, because without me, he has no one.
But were you talking about anything else other than that, Miss Overby?
I told him that, I said, you're completely acting irrational. So I said, I want to leave. I said, I don't ever want to see you again. I said, stay away from me. Don't come near me. I was begging for mercy.
Okay. So then you get to his mother's house, right?
Correct.
And he takes his stuff out of the car?
Yes.
And according to you, he took the keys to the car, too?
Yes, he never came back with my keys, Your Honor.
So what did you do?
I waited outside for about 10 minutes to see if he might come back. Then I decided I would knock on his mother's door. His mother came out probably about 15 minutes later, and she said Ronald wasn't there, but kindly let me into her house so I could call AAA that night.
Why did you take the car keys, Mr. Carter?
Because she tossed some of my CDs, so I tossed her car keys.
What do you mean she tossed some of your CDs?
The CDs that I had in the car, I was taking with me. She was like throwing the stuff out of the car, so I threw her keys down.
Did you take any of his CDs and throw them out of the car?
I gave him all of his stuff back.
That's not my question. My question was...
No, I did not, Your Honor.
Yes, you did. You see, put your head down. Do you understand what I'm saying?
I gave him all his stuff, but I threw him out of terror.
You threw them?
Right.
So you threw his CDs on the ground?
Correct.
And then he took the car keys and?
I tossed them.
Where'd you toss them?
Like, it's like, I guess, like in a yard right by where we parked in front of the house. But she didn't see where the keys got tossed.
Did you have a knife in the car?
No.
Tell me about the car ride, Mr. Carter.
I was driving to my mother's, and she kept trying to, she wanted to work things out, and I kept saying no, and then she like went in some driving 90 miles per hour, smoking a cigarette, drinking a soda, just doing everything at one time. So I felt that she was like incapable of driving, so I asked her to pull over, and that's when I completed the ride home to my mother's house.
When did you go to the police, Miss Overby?
I went to the police that night.
Do you have a police report?
Yes, I do.
I'd like to see it, please. Did you tell the police that he slashed the car tires?
Yes, I did.
Why?
Because when I came out to catch the locksmith, the tires to my car were slashed. I also have a AAA report, too.
Can I see it, please? Mr. Carter, did you slash her tires?
No, I did not.
Who slashed her tires, sir? It's much too coincidental.
That's a story that she made up.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
When she went out to wait for AAA, she found the tires slashed in her car. Who do you think did that?
Who's to say she didn't slash the tires?
Because you would have to be an idiot to do that.
Well, you don't know Catherine.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Ronald Carter claims ex-girlfriend Catherine Overby owes him $1,000. Catherine says Ronald assaulted her with a knife.
Oh, Mr. Carter, let me tell you something, sir.
Yes.
I believe that there's a little truth in what both of you are saying about what happened that night. I do believe, Miss Overby, that there was more of a discussion in the hour that you were traveling to his mother's house than just how terrified you were. I do believe, however, Mr. Carter, that you slashed her tires, or you knew who did. Do you want to know why, sir? It's too coincidental, and because the AAA report indicates clearly that the tires were slashed once they got there. The initial report to AAA was that she needed somebody to respond because she had no keys. That telephone call was made from your mother's house,
Yes,
right?
correct.
And you were not there,
No.
but you were somewhere.
Yes.
And then when she went out to wait for AAA, she found a tire slashed in her car. Who do you think did that?
I have no idea. But the case that she brought, all charges were dismissed.
Of course they would dismiss, Mr. Carter, because without any proof,
That is
beyond a reasonable doubt, which is the quantum of proof in a criminal case, they can't proceed. The quantum of proof here in a civil matter is less than beyond a reasonable doubt. It's just more evidence than not. You rely on your common sense. Do you understand? It just doesn't seem logical to me, sir, that somebody else, during that brief 15 minutes while she was in your mother's house waiting for the AAA to respond, didn't like the car and went over and slashed 2 tires on the car. Where did you go, Mr. Carter, when you went home?
I went to my friend's house,
Did you go out the back door?
out the back door.
Did you have to put new tires on the car?
Yes, I did.
Mm-hmm.
I have a receipt for the tires.
Okay. Just for my own information, what was this initial argument about on the 23rd?
On the 23rd?
Yeah.
The initial argument was about me calling my baby's father's job. He
Yes.
thought that it wasn't rational for me to call and ask for the money back from a bounce check he had written out to me on behalf of my son.
Just a second. Is that what the argument was about, Mr.
No.
Carter?
The whole thing started because of her lying, which it started way before that date. But the constant lying that Kathy's always used to doing, I got fed up with the relationship and I decided to end it.
All right, so you decided to end it.
Yes.
Okay. What do you want to say, sir?
Yes, Your Honor.
Stand up. Stand up.
Ms. Overby states that she called my job. She did not call my job. It was constant harassment.
Good. Sit down. Okay. Mr. Carter, I have to make a judgment based upon both common sense and the information that I have. I find, however, that your actions on the night of the 23rd of March of this year were totally irrational. You decided to end the relationship,
Yes.
and irrespective of how angry you were because she threw your CDs on the floor, you knew that by tossing the keys in a place in the dark where she would never find them, that she'd have difficulty, right?
I told her where the keys. Oh, I said the keys were outside.
You said the keys were outside. Outside is a big place, Mr. Carter. So you knew she'd have difficulty, and you knew she was going to be stranded. So instead of even waiting at your mother's house, you took off through the back door and went to a friend's house, right?
Yes.
And then lo and behold, after she makes the call to AAA that she has no car keys, she comes out and finds 2 tires slashed. That's according not to her. That's according to AAA. Flattened and slashed.
Who's to say she didn't slash the tires?
Because you would have to be an idiot to do that.
Well, they...
No, you'd have to be an idiot to do that. She may allege a lot of things. She may say that you kidnapped her,
Yeah,
which is
so-
baloney because he didn't kidnap you. You got in the car, right? I mean, but part of your counterclaim is you say he kidnapped you. I don't believe that for a minute.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
Okay. Well, I find that she had certain out-of-pocket expenses, sir. And her out-of-pocket expenses were $130 for tires. And then you spent a whole night. Who was watching your son during that night?
A babysitter.
Mm-hmm. And this babysitter is someone that you pay by the hour?
Correct.
How much do you pay the babysitter by the hour?
$5 an hour.
Pretty cheap babysitter. What time did you get home the next day?
5 o'clock in the morning.
And what about the evening, being stuck out in a place she's totally unfamiliar with until 5 o'clock in the morning until she finally got herself home? How much do you think that's worth?
I have no idea why she was stuck. I knew nothing about the ties.
You knew about the car keys.
I talked to her that night. I was trying to tell her where the keys was when
Why
I
didn't you
called
go
her.
get the car keys for her instead of telling her where to look for them? Why didn't you say, sorry, I threw them, I'm coming right back, I'll find the keys for you?
She wouldn't give me time. She kept yelling over the phone.
What do you mean she wouldn't give you time?
She wouldn't give me a chance to say anything over
Why don't
the
you get on the
telephone.
phone with your mother and say, listen, she's a little irrational because she doesn't have the keys and I don't want her to be upset. This is where I threw the keys. Why don't you talk to your mother?
Because she had the phone. She wouldn't give anyone else the phone.
Oh, Mr. Carter, you got an answer for a lot of stuff, sir.
You don't know Catherine.
Well, let me ask you this question. Did you call the house or did she call your friend's house?
I called the house.
What'd you call the house for?
I see if she had left.
Why?
Why?
Yeah.
I could see if it was safe to come back home.
So when you called your mother's house, who answered the phone?
My brother did.
So why didn't you tell your brother to go outside, tell him exactly where you threw the keys so that he could give her back the car keys? Why didn't you do that?
Yeah, I should have.
Should have. Right. You should have was going to cost you $883, so I'm dismissing your claim. Do you understand that, Mr. Carter? On the other hand, you owed him some money, right?
Right.
And I've just found that his aggravation that evening cost $883, so your counterclaim likewise is dismissed. Goodbye, folks.
Parties are excused.
Recreation Center directors Gary and Tammy Webb are suing Kerry and Raul Prideaux. The Webbs say the Prideaux's son, 12-year-old Andrew, burglarized their teen center.
Order. All rise.
Yeah, this is case number 452 on the calendar in the matter of Webb versus Prideaux. Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated, young men. Have seats, please.
You're Andrew?
Yes, ma'am.
How old are you?
12.
You smart, Andrew?
Yes.
Who do you think is Who do you think is smarter, you or me?
You.
So far, you're doing fine. You ready for me?
Yes, ma'am.
Come on up here. Andrew, you know Mr. and Mrs. Webb, don't you?
I know Mr. Webb.
And the Webbs run a teen center, is that right?
Yes.
Mr. and Mrs. Webb say that their teen center was burglarized. And their claim is that not you alone, but there were other people as well as you involved. Am I boring you?
No.
There were other people involved in breaking and entering into their teen center. Some other kids. Look over here. Have you ever been in trouble before, Andrew?
Yes.
You hang around with a bunch of kids that sometimes do bad things?
Yes.
How do you think I knew that?
I don't know.
Does it worry you that I know that?
No.
It should. How old are these kids that you hang around with, Andrew?
14, 13.
So a little bit older than you are. Folks ever have to come to the police station about a complaint about you?
Not that I know of.
They ever have to go to school with regard to a complaint about you?
Yes.
What kind of complaint, Andrew?
Ditching and...
What?
Ditching.
What's ditching, Andrew?
Like skipping school, going out wherever I want to.
Go out with your 13, 14-year-old friends.
Yeah, and then,
Yes.
Yes. And then back talking to the teachers.
So, you think you're a wise guy? A little bit?
Just a little bit.
You are, but you're pretty smart, which is really nice. You're going to have to make up your mind, Andrew, whether you want to use those brains that clearly you were given to be something special and productive, or whether you want to be a bum. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Because you can use those brains that you clearly have, and you can study, have a good time, but study, and you can go to college, and you can go to professional school, and you can be a star, because I think that you probably have that within you, and you clearly have a nice personality. Or your parents can come and visit you in jail if you want to show off for your older and bigger 14-year-old friends. That's a choice. So you're right on the borderline, 12 years old. You have to make those choices. Now, if you were involved in the burglary of the teen center, Would you have been involved with it with your 13 and 14-year-old friends? Look over here.
No.
You would have been involved with it alone?
No.
I didn't ask you whether you did it or not. I said if you were involved in the burglary of the teen center, would you have been there with your friends or alone?
My friends.
Right. And if you were involved in the burglary of the teen center, how many of your friends might have been with you?
Like 1 or 2.
How many are in this little group that you hang around with?
3 or 4.
But there were only been 1 or 2 who would have been involved with that kind of burglary.
Yeah.
And you know who they are. You could pick out which ones they are, right?
No, they would choose.
They would choose?
They would choose wherever we go. That's what they usually do. They choose wherever they want to go, and then I go with them.
Have they ever chosen to do something that you thought was illegal and you shouldn't join them?
No.
Have they ever voted to do something illegal? No, look here.
I'm trying to think. Not that I know of. I was like grounded most of the time, so.
You were grounded for what?
Sneaking out of the house and running away.
Is there any particular reason that you do that, Andrew?
No.
Who grounds you, your mother or your father?
Both of them.
Is there anything you want to tell me with regard to the burglary of this teen center?
Yeah, actually there is. Because they say I kicked down a door.
Yeah.
But look how small I am. How could I do it?
I heard that. I heard that.
Okay, just making sure.
Is there anything else you want to tell me? I'm not saying kicking down the door.
No.
Have you ever been in the teen center?
Yes, we used to go there to play pool and stuff.
So you enjoy the teen center?
Yeah. Yes.
See how smart you are? I don't even have to say anything to you. Andrew, you have a choice. Star or a bum. Those are your choices. You haven't been making the right choices so far. What do you think?
To make good choices. And
You think you're stroking me? Did you ever see a judge before?
Yeah.
Where?
In Phoenix.
At a court?
Yeah.
Were you in court?
Yeah.
For what? Right here.
I was in court for one, like, something to do with school or something.
What do you mean? You mean you don't remember? Sure you remember. You're smart as a whip.
Not really.
Yeah.
I don't remember because I don't like court very much.
What happened in court?
They put me on probation for a year.
Mm-hmm. And how long ago was that?
A couple months ago.
Have you been grounded since?
Yeah. I was in Tucson just last week because of, like, the running away and taking off.
When you ran away, how long did you stay away?
The first time a day, and the second time 3 days.
Where did you stay when you ran away?
In an abandoned house.
With your buddies?
Yeah, one of them.
And how old is the one that you stayed with in the abandoned house?
12.
Your parents buy you clothes?
Yes.
You think you aggravate your mother and father?
Yes.
Are you regularly beaten at home?
No.
I mean, nobody strings you up and beats you at home, right? So there's really no reason to run away.
Yeah.
Have a reason that you run away?
Sometimes just to get out of the house.
Why?
Because my house is very boring.
Would you like your parents to bring in a circus 3 times a week for you?
That'd be nice.
Maybe if you came home from school and did your homework and played around with your friends, some reasonable friends for a couple of hours. What do you think? This was a very nice chat, Andrew. You may go and sit down now.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Recreation Center directors Gary and Tammy Webb say 12-year-old Andrew Prideaux burglarized their teen center. Andrew denies all charges.
Okay. Your lawsuit says that this young man was involved in burglarizing a teen center. There was a lot of property taken and destroyed. You weren't there at the time, is that right?
That's right.
So what proof do you have that this young man was involved?
I came in that morning. We found out the rec center had been broken into, called the police. Some of the kids started showing up to attend the after-school program, and a couple of kids approached us and said,
Can't tell me what anybody else said to you.
Right. I'm just saying that some kids said that we knew who did it.
That was what started it.
That's what started it. And after we, found out that they had seen that or whatever, and we called the cops to come and witness them. And then my wife and the teen center director, who's now in India, went over to the apartment complex and talked to them, and she can tell you the story that they told her over there.
You can't tell me any story that anybody else told you. Do you have any witness who actually
Yes, we have
observed?
2 witnesses that are here today.
I'd like to see them, please.
Okay.
The names?
Jeff and Cindy.
Bernhardt.
You have computers in your rec center?
We did.
We did. We had 2 of them that were stolen. One was a personal computer which the kids played on. One was just strictly for the kids that they played on.
Are they both witnesses? Step up here, please. Tell me your name, sir.
Jeffrey Bernhardt.
And your name?
Cynthia Bernhardt.
Who was the witness?
That would be me.
All right, Jeffrey, do you know Andrew?
As an acquaintance from another friend.
But you've seen him?
Yeah.
Okay, tell me what you know about this burglary.
I was sitting with my friend at an electrical box towards the end of the complex, and Andrew approached me and said that he had taken stuff from the rec center and showed me things.
What did he show you?
Pens, candy, there was soda. There was another guy that was with him that had a baseball bat, and a guy in the far distance that had something that looked like a video game system or something.
The young man that was with him, what did he look like?
I don't really remember.
Had you ever seen him before?
Mm-mm.
Were you contacted by the police to give this information, Jeffrey?
Yeah.
Did you give them that information?
Mm-hmm.
We have a police report, too, where they made statements, Donald and the other witnesses. I have them highlighted, that they had seen the witnesses. Also,
No, I can't read statements from any other witnesses. If you want to show me a police report where this witness...
That's what I'm saying, that they're on there. Okay.
That
And he states what he had seen.
That Jeffrey's statement is on there.
Yes.
And the statement of Andrew.
Also, Your Honor, while we were there cleaning up the day after the thing, Andrew had not been in the program for a long time, and we had found this by the baseball bats where they had been into. And he had not been in the rec center for a couple of months. He refused to fill out or weeks, I'm sorry. He would refuse to fill out a registration form because the kids all have to have a name and address and medical release form to be there.
I refused to sign it because I didn't want him there until he started behaving.
And we found that morning. We clean every other day, and when we had cleaned, we had not seen it before. And that day that we had cleaned, we found that sitting on by the baseball bats.
How do you know this is his?
That's his nickname, is Shorty.
Who's Precious?
I have no clue. I've never seen that in my life.
Come up here.
Joe.
No.
You ever seen him before?
No. I've probably seen him when I was cutting through the apartments to go to my friend's house. Like, I've probably seen him out there talking to somebody or something. But I've never stopped to talk to him, ever. I haven't, like, the only time I've seen him was when I've, like, glanced over and, like, seen somebody talking.
Did you take any candy from the rec center?
I didn't break into it, so I couldn't have taken any candy.
Mm-hmm. Did anybody give you any candy from the rec center?
No.
So he's just making up this whole story?
Probably.
Can you think of any reason why Jeffrey would make up this whole story?
Because, like, my friend Donald, the one that he said I was supposedly talking to, like what we were doing, I was talking to him. Yeah, I went over there, but I didn't show him anything because I didn't have anything. I went over there, I started talking to Donald, and he wasn't there. So I was, like, talking to him. And then Donald, my mom went over to Donald's house because I snuck out, went to his house.
You snuck out and went to Donald's house?
Yeah.
Why did you do that?
Because I was bored in my house. And then my mom went over there and started talking to him. He got mad because he was yelling and stuff at his sister. So I was like, okay. And I walked out. My mom, like, was not there yet. We walked to a friend's house. And then his sister came up and pulled up at our friend's house.
This is a very convoluted story that you're telling me, and I don't particularly see how it's important to the story. So you were talking to your friend Donald when Jeffrey was there?
Yeah.
All right.
No, when he wasn't there.
Well, maybe you didn't see him, but he was there.
I wasn't paying attention to him.
That's better. You have been busy.
Yeah, talking to Donald.
Yeah, busy.
The way they got to the pop machine, Your Honor, is that there was a spare set of keys in the desk. They had gotten into that, and that's how they got into the soda machines. And part of what they did is they walked over and gave the keys to Donald, and Cindy still has the keys, where they threw them up on the roof because they didn't want the keys. And that's how they got into the pop machine, through the keys.
Just a second. You still have the keys? How did you get the keys?
My son came to me that evening that this had happened and mentioned, I'm the apartment manager at this complex. The next morning I was concerned, so I called a couple of the kids in the complex up to see what had gone on. They told me about that they had tried to throw the keys up on the roof. I went out myself and looked on the grounds and found the keys to the rec center, which I do have. And I had called Tammy and the director of the teen center, Melody, and let them know I had them, and they did fit.
Do you know anything about those keys?
He gave them to Donald, and Donald didn't want nothing to do
Who
with them.
gave them to Donald?
Andrew.
Handed the keys to Donald.
Yeah, and he didn't want nothing to do with them, so he just tossed them.
So Donald tossed the keys. Were you with Donald when Donald tossed the keys?
Yeah.
You got your hands full. Right?
Very much so.
I can see that. You got a tiger by the tail. He can go either way.
That's what we're trying to prevent.
I see that. I see that. Is he in counseling?
Yes, he is.
How often does he go?
They come see him like once every month, twice a month sometimes.
It's not enough. Is he back in school?
Yes.
How's your older son?
Normal teenage stuff. Gets into normal trouble.
But not like this?
No.
He's really smart.
Too smart.
Oh, he's really smart. That's what happens when you're 12 years old, really smart and short. It's my responsibility to try to look at somebody and figure out whether or not they're telling me the truth. You usually look at body language, eye contact. You look at whether the story has any motive to fabricate. You know, you look at a variety of things. So there's no question that he was involved. I don't know how many other people were involved. Certainly he wasn't carrying a computer. Certainly he wasn't carrying anything big. Certainly the kids that were involved in it were older than he was. And he went along because he wanted to act like a big shot. Yeah, sure he did. I'm telling you that your son was involved in that burglary. He was there with older kids. They gave the littlest one some candy and some other junk, and they took the stuff that was more valuable. That's what happened. I wouldn't make any excuses for it. I would understand in my own heart, and I think that you don't. I really think that you try to do the right thing and that you're clawing uphill with him. I know that.
We told them if we found out that they were responsible, we told the police and the detectives if they found out the children were responsible, they would pay the consequences for it.
Well,
Kids
he's going to
know
pay
that.
the consequences with me. So in addition to grounding him, I think that you should find some chores for him to do. I cannot in good conscience tell you that this young man is responsible for the majority of the damage that was done to your teen center. I do think that he was the youngest one that went along with this group, that everybody else was older, that he was given some stuff. Whether he kicked in the door, and I don't think he would have to kick in the door, the teen center, because there were bigger kids that could do that. But it's possible that they said, you go kick in the door. Because what happens is when you do these kind of group crimes, they usually say, let's let the young one go, because if the younger one gets caught, nothing's going to happen to them.
He's too small to kick in the door.
Oh, no. No. I'm telling you, he's not too small for anything. You at least know of several other boys who were involved, what, 2 or 3 that you believe were involved?
Yes. Yeah.
And I assume you're going to pursue the older boys.
The ones who we know, yes.
The other one.
From this one, you get $250, that's all.
Parties are excused.
Remember what I said to you, Andrew?
Yes.
You can either spend a good deal of your life looking at a judge. You went before one, judge gave you probation for something. You came to me. Some judges are nice, some judges are miserable. There will come a time when your size isn't going to help you. Do you understand?
Yes.
That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
18-year-old stockboy Michael Debris is suing former friend, 18-year-old network administrator Keith Kimmel, for damaging his car by kicking it. Keith says his life was threatened and is countersuing for emotional distress.
Order. All rise.
This is case number 175 on the calendar in the matter of Debris versus Kimmel. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Gentlemen, have seats.
Mr. Dupree, the defendant was a friend of yours or an acquaintance?
Yeah.
Try yes.
Yes.
And you were driving your car,
Yes.
and the defendant was in your car.
Yes.
And there was someone else in your car.
Yes.
Who was that?
Corey.
And you and Corey decided to play a little joke on Mr. Kimmel.
Yes.
So tell me what you said to Mr. Kimmel.
I told him that I said, go get all your money out of your ATM. And I said, I've already left 2 friends out in the country. I'm going to take you out there.
Your Honor, may I add that that was at gunpoint?
Okay. So at gunpoint
Yes.
was something that appeared to be a gun.
Yes, it actually turned out to be a BB gun on
Okay, but
inspection
it
to the
appeared
state
to be a
police.
gun to you.
Yes, it did, Your Honor.
The plaintiff told you that he was taking you to go and so that you could take all of your money out of your ATM.
Right, and may I excuse the profound language that Mr. Dupree used, but I will kill you with my friends. Sorry.
So, and you at that point were afraid.
Yes, I was.
At some point, the defendant managed to get out of the car and, according to you, went ballistic and kicked and punched and pummeled your car. So you are suing him for damage to your car.
Right.
And you, Mr. Kimmel, are counterclaiming for a
Right.
variety of things, the loss of your cell phone and your eyeglasses,
Yes,
and
sir.
also for emotional distress. Correct?
That is correct. I have a detailed listing of the damages should you need them.
And I will. Mr. Dupree, after you told him that you were going to take him out to the country,
Right, which was not a gunpoint.
but there was a BB gun in the car.
Right.
Just to answer my question, there was a BB gun in the car.
Yes, there was.
Your Honor, that's a lie.
Shum. Don't need help. What did he do, sir?
He got out of the car and he went and got his money.
Well, did he struggle with you at all at that point? Are you chewing gum?
No.
Are you chewing gum?
Yeah. I swallowed it.
Okay. How much money did you take out, Mr. Kimmel?
I took out $90 since it only allows withdrawals in the increments of $10.
And you got back into the car?
Yes, and he also requested that I get a balance inquiry sheet to make sure that I had successfully cleaned the entire account.
And what was the next thing that happened after you drove off?
There's a highway that you can use to get to the movie theaters because that was our destination. Before and after the joke was played, that was our destination to go see a movie.
Did anything happen in the car while you were on the highway?
No.
Did Mr. Kimmel begin to struggle at all in the car?
Not until we got about halfway there, and then he freaked out. He was talking about all sorts of odd things, and then he started to choke me.
So he leaned from the back. What kind of odd things, by the way?
He was talking about people being dead and KKK members and all sorts of other odd, strange things.
Okay. At that point, when he started talking strangely, and listen to my question very carefully, Mr. Dupree, did you say to him, come on, this is all a big joke, you know, we weren't serious? Did you say that to him?
No.
Subsequent to that conversation that he had with you, where he was talking strangely, you said he went ballistic from the back seat and started to choke you, and you were driving.
Yes.
Did that cause you to stop the car?
Yes.
And when you stopped the car, what happened?
We wrestled for, Corey got out of the car, and right at that moment we were like, this is a joke, man. It was just a joke. We're actually going to the movie theater. And Corey got out and he was yelling it at him. And then Corey didn't know what to do, so he started to flag down traffic to call for help.
Why was he calling for help?
Because he was choking me and he wasn't letting up at all. Even after we had made it blatantly clear that it was a joke.
So you said to him, I'm sorry, it's a joke, it's a joke, it's a joke.
Yes.
Okay, and what did he do when he got out of the car to your car?
He put dents in the right-hand side. He broke the right-hand tail light. He also kicked my door in the windshield and put another dent on my front fender. And then we wrestled for a minute.
Just a minute.
Oh.
And this was after you had said to him, this was all a joke?
Yes, after I'd made it clear several times.
How long was it in minutes from the time you all got into the car and you said to him, you're going to the ATM to take out all your money and whatever else you said to him, until the time he got out of the car and started to kick your car. How many minutes?
About 15.
So is it a fair statement, Mr. Dupree, for about 15 minutes, Mr. Kimmel was laboring under the assumption that you intended to do him bodily harm?
No. Because...
Was it 15 minutes, Mr. Dupree?
Yeah, yes, it was 15 minutes.
15 minutes.
But I had never told him, and I didn't once, that I was going to kill him or do him any bodily harm.
You told him you were taking him to the country.
Yeah.
But you just told me, Mr. Dupree, that it wasn't your intention when you all got into the car to go to the country. It was your intention to go to the movies. That was what you were doing. So you told him, in effect, we're not going to the movies. I'm taking you out to the country.
Yes.
Right?
The highway leads. We took the back ways to the movie theater.
I'm taking you to the country. And when he took out the money, you did not say to him at that moment, don't be ridiculous, this was all a joke. You did not say that.
No, it wasn't part of the joke. The punchline came when we got to the movie theater.
All right. So 15 minutes in your car under the assumption that he had just been the victim of a robbery by extortion and that it was your intention to take him to the country to hurt him. That was his assumption for that 15-minute period.
Correct.
Good. And how much did it cost to have your car fixed?
The estimate for my car for damages was $1,875.34.
I hope you have the money. Now let's get to the counterclaim. Let's talk about the physical property, sir, that was damaged as a result of this practical joke gone awry.
Yes, he is correct that I did choke him. At the time, I was a little less concerned with his neck and more concerned with my personal safety.
You choked him, that's his
exactly.
problem. Go ahead. Behaved like an idiot. That's not something that you do as a practical joke.
Judge Judy continues, and Dupree says former friend Keith Kimmel damaged his car when he kicked it. Keith says Michael took him hostage at gunpoint.
Go ahead.
He had eventually broken free of that grip in the car, and he did indeed tell me that it was a joke, but I wasn't believing too much that he said at this point. If we had the gun here in evidence, you would see that it looks extremely real.
How large a gun was it?
It was a handgun. It appeared to be a large gun and capable of doing damage.
But this was at night?
Yes, it was, around 8 p.m., dusk.
Tell me about the damage to your property, sir.
We have the exhibits that I have of things that were damaged is what's left of my cell phone after he flung it into traffic. It was run over by an 18-wheeler.
He used his cell phone to break my windshield, and then he says, well, I guess I don't need this anymore. And then he threw it out the window.
I don't think so.
How much was your cell phone, sir?
The cell phone, I have an estimate from Radio Shack in the amount of $277.40.
$277. What other physical property was destroyed?
Well, my eyeglasses, which are on here, which I had to rig in order to use between the time of the incident and the case. The estimate there, they said, was in the neighborhood of $400, and they didn't have anything written
Let me see
out.
the glasses.
If you also notice, the lenses are scratched from hitting the highway several times after they were flung off my face and then stepped on, during the scuffle.
Well, how much did you pay for these glasses, sir?
I paid $410, and my insurance only provides coverage for glasses every 3 years in the amount of $400.
Oh, okay. Would you return these, please, to Mr. Kimmel? What else, sir?
Thank you, sir. I have the cellular telephone accessory, which is a belt clip, and that was attached to the
let's
back.
go. Come on.
And of course, the $90 that he forced me to withdraw from my ATM, which I have not recovered.
Where was it?
In his pocket.
The cop, when we explained to the cop that this was a practical joke, the cop pulled it out of my pocket, and I've not seen it since.
Well, I called all the state police jurisdictions.
So you don't have your money back?
That's correct. I have the $500 for lost productivity in my home-based business. I'm a web consultant. As part of my contract, I guarantee my work to be done on time. If it's not done on time, I give them a $250 credit.
Mr. Kimmel, you have $777 in losses from your personal property. Now, I have a couple of other questions to ask you, sir. There was a 15-minute period there till the time. I assume that at some point you recognized that you were safe. right, when the police arrived?
That's at the time that I recognized, yes.
Okay. And I'd like you to tell me, sir, what was going through your mind during that period of time?
Well, when he referred to me talking weirdly, that he was trying to hint at the fact that he said, well, I won't be the one doing the killing. I have a couple friends that will be doing that, and the trunk is full of KKK uniforms. He had mentioned that he may have killed a couple of other friends, which I had no way of verifying, and I didn't know, but that right there...
How long did you know him?
I've met him probably 4 or 5 times over a period of about 2 months, so I thought that he could, you know, be trusted at least to...
Go to the movies.
Yeah, exactly.
Go to the movies.
Well, going through my mind, I was very concerned for my safety.
You are suing on your countersuit
Right.
the plaintiff for $2,500.
That's correct.
You have $777 worth of damages for personality.
Right.
Your lawsuit seeks the rest really for emotional distress and lost wages.
That's correct. Like I said, I have a detailed listing for your...
I don't need a detailed anything,
Okay.
sir. Your emotional distress is worth the remainder. Mr. Dupree, when you cause someone to fear for their life as a result of a practical joke, you have to accept all of the responsibility for what happens. You set in motion a chain of events by your stupidity which caused your car to be damaged and caused the defendant to suffer, whether it was 5 minutes or 10 minutes or 15 minutes or a half hour, fear that he was going to die. You got to pay for that. Judgment on the counterclaim in the amount of $2,500 as requested. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
You may step out.
I thought she would have seen through his lies and his insanity, but I guess she didn't, so.
This must have popped into his mind as something that might have been humorous or somehow entertaining. I didn't find it very entertaining, unfortunately.
And now the next case.
All parties on Petzold versus Gilmore. Step forward, please.
44-year-old assistant store manager Carrie Petzold is suing his ex-wife, 38-year-old waitress Margaret Gilmore, for the return of a necklace and 2 rings. Margaret says the only reason she has the jewelry is because Carrie threw them at her.
Mr. Petzold, the defendant is your former wife. When were you divorced, sir?
That was 6/28 of 99.
And according to your complaint, there came a time when you went to her house.
That's correct.
And you were very angry.
Yes, I was.
And why did you go to her house when you were angry, sir?
We had a...
You have children together.
Yes, we did, 3.
And they were all at home?
2 of which I believe were home at the time.
Go ahead.
All 3 were there.
Went to the home because of verbal threats on the phone in regards to possessions that I had, threatening to take everything I had personally, even the clothes off my back.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I thought that would satisfy her for the time being, and I may have a day's arrest.
What did she want with your jewelry?
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Carrie Petzold says his ex-wife, Margaret Gilmore, won't return a necklace and 2 rings.
Who called you, sir, about this property?
She called in regards to property, real property in the home that...
Who remained in the home?
I did.
And she moved out?
Yes.
Did the children remain with you?
They went with their mother.
Where did you go?
I was left out of town. We'd had an argument out of town, Your Honor, and he had abandoned me and my son at the time, and our teenage daughter, the other one, Margaret, was at home at the time, and I had called her to let her know her father had a fight with me. He was on his way home for her to get out of the house. She tried to grab some belongings because we've done this numerous times over the 20 years of marriage, and my bedroom door was locked. She couldn't get any of my possessions. She took her stuff and clothes for her brother. 2 days later, I had a friend bring me back up to the high desert where we lived, and he had changed the locks and had the windows barred. I'd contacted the sheriff.
That's a lie, ma'am.
I had his various sheriffs.
You remained in the house. She and the children had to find other accommodations. Is that right, Mr. Petzold?
Correct.
And then there came a time when you got very angry sometime around March of 1999, and you went to the house. You took off all your jewelry, and you threw it at her while she was in bed. Is that right?
I threw it on the end of the bed, ma'am. I didn't throw it at her.
There was a restraining order in effect at that time, Your Honor.
You threw it on the bed while she was in the bed.
Correct.
And what did you say to her when you threw your jewelry on the bed? What did you say to her?
I said at that time, ma'am, there is my jewelry. Please leave me alone. I want nothing further to do with you at this point.
Now you want your jewelry back.
That's correct.
That's what this lawsuit is about.
Exactly.
Mr. Petzold, doesn't that sound foolish to you?
Yes, it does, but because of the situation and how ugly this situation got, Your Honor, is that I thought
in my feeble mind at the time, that would satisfy her for the time being,
No,
and I may have a day's arrest.
What did she want with your jewelry? Mr. Petals, you were angry. What you were saying is, you want everything else from me, now you got everything, including the gold in my teeth. Here it is, take it, leave me alone.
Pretty much how I felt.
That's
yes,
what
Your
you were
Honor.
saying.
Yes,
all
Your
right?
Honor.
Now time has passed. Maybe things are a little bit calmer. Now you want your jewelry back. Right? You don't have a legal leg to stand on, Mr. Petals. You understand that?
Correct.
You don't have a legal leg to stand on. So, Miss Gilmore.
Thank you.
Listen, I'm not finished. You have 3 children together.
Yes, that's correct.
What jewelry did he throw on the bed?
I have it with me today. It was the wedding band, the gold wedding band, a gold garnet ring I'd given him as a gift through the years, and a gold chain that was given to him as a gift.
Could I see it, please?
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
Miss Gilmore, I have just told you that he has no legal basis to request this property back. He abandoned the property. He, in effect, gave it to you. He may have given it to you out of anger,
right,
but he gave it to you. So he has a prayer legally to get this back. You have 3 children together.
That's correct.
You're one. You're still in school?
I'm in college.
And you have 2 other teenagers?
Correct. A 17-year-old daughter and a 16-year-old son.
Do you see your children?
No, I do not. Actually, my oldest daughter at this time, Your Honor, chooses not to see me. She has saw fit to demean me every which way she can.
No. You don't do that. Mr. Petals, just listen, sir. When you have children who were little, I was in the family court for many years. When you have children who were little, 3, 4, 5, 6 years old, you have the ability as the custodial parent to sometimes poison children so that they are fearful of a non-custodial parent. But when children are 16 and 17 and 19 and 20, the parents themselves have made their own bed. And it has nothing to do with what their custodial parent says to them. I guarantee you, if you have a 17-year-old who wants to see you, they're going to see you. What I'm telling you, Miss Gilmore, it is foolish of you, foolish, to keep this. Do you want to know why? He's angry at a variety of things, many of the things he probably caused himself.
Yes.
But unfortunately, we very rarely see that in ourselves. This sticks in his throat. You don't want that. Trust me. Will you trust me on this one?
I do trust you, Your
Will you trust me on this one? This stuff is of no value.
They're
to
just
you.
material things. That's all I've ever looked at it as.
Right, just material things, and you were angry. I have no legal basis to give this back to him, but you would be so smart if you gave it back to him.
I had never asked for it in the first place, Your Honor.
You want to give it back to him?
I would be happy for him to have it if that would make him happy.
Thank you. This case is over.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you very much,
Parties
Your
are
Honor.
excused. Next step out.
Appreciate your time.
Thank you.